Evening all. Live chat 119 here on Brooks's Bass Corner, coming to you loud and clear from London town here in the UK. Hope you're well. Hope bass playing's going good for you. Hope you've had a good week. Hope you've got a good week planned coming up. Hope you're doing loads of gigs this weekend if you're an active musician. All good. You catch me in the middle of, well, not in the middle of anything actually. We're in a bit of a situation. I'll explain. So we're doing a Queen tribute gig this Friday at Queen's College in Oxford, and this gig was offered to the Queen tribute I'm playing with back in January. And when I was offered the gig, I made it very clear to the band leader, having played in Oxford at the end of 2023 at the town hall, slap bang in the middle of Oxford. So the backstory to all this is, for many years I played in Oxford with my old covers band. We used to do 3-4 gigs at O'Neill's every month for about 12 years, and never had a problem really. We knew the deal. We had to park in the car park. It was fine. But over time, and kind of in the last 10 years, more and more of Oxford has kind of been closed off to traffic. And I get that, making it more pedestrianised, making traffic follow a one-way route around the town. And if you muck up, you can't just turn around and go back. A lot of the roads have CCTV and cameras and all of that. So your number plate recognition kicks in and you get a fine through the post. So last time I played there at the end of 2023, it was an absolute nightmare. And we knew that in advance, the band I played with then. And I worked out how I was going to go to the local car park, and I was going to put the gear I had on a trolley and I was going to wheel it through. But it was leading up to Christmas. The whole town centre was awash, full of people, and it was an absolute nightmare. And trying to get to that car park in time to get in, loaded in at the venue, sound check before the event started was horrible. And I remember saying after that gig, it'll be a bloody long time before I come back to Oxford to do a gig, unless it's on the outskirts. I don't want to do gigs anywhere near the centre of town. So anyway, this gig came in January. Band leader offered it to me and I said, I'll take it. But I'm telling you now, you've got to sort out the parking. I want guaranteed parking, and I want guaranteed parking within the venue, within the college, wherever we're playing. If it's an outdoor event, I want to be able to park up near the stage. If not, and we're playing indoors, we got to have parking. I said, I'm telling you from experience, Oxford is a complete arseache, and the university colleges are a complete arseache. So make sure the agent or the venue agrees to it. They sign the contract. They got to provide that parking. Yesterday, I messaged the band leader. I said, right, Friday, what time are we getting there? And we got all the details through and what have you. I said, right, now the $125 question. We got parking. He said, oh yeah, it's all provided. It's all provided. I said, no, that's not what I'm asking you. It's fine that they've agreed to it on the contract. Have you got details? What gate are we going in? What road are we approaching this entrance from? I said, because once you get into the one-way system in Oxford, you can't just turn around and go back. That doesn't happen. See, we've got to get it right first time. I said, we're all coming in different vehicles from different angles and directions. Got to have the details. Oh, I'll contact them now. So in the past hour, I've been cooking my dinner. And I thought, well, while I'm waiting for everything to cook, I'm going to check online. Lo and behold, bear with me a moment. I'm vexed. All right. I'm vexed tonight. So I've Googled it. The Queen's College, Oxford. Let's go back out to the bit. The college has no on-site parking. Good start. I typed into Google, is there an entrance for cars and motor vehicles at Queen's College in Oxford? And according to the AI overview, no, there is no car entrance or motor vehicle entrance at Queen's College. So how do they get deliveries in? if anyone is watching this live chat and you're based in or around Oxford, and perhaps you work at Queen's College, Oxford, if you do me the good grace and come on the live chat and tell me, how the hell are we supposed to play there? Now, I'm guessing there's loads of other bands. This is a summer ball. So there has to be an entrance or some way of getting all the gear, the staging, the PA, the lights, all the bands that are going to be playing on this. But no one has sent us a map, given us parking details, loading in details. There's nothing. So this AI thing says, no, there's no car entrance or motor vehicle entrance at Queen's College, Oxford, due to its central location on the High Street, which I had problems with a year and a half ago. The college has no parking available. Also, the only entrance is by step. And any student needing to use a car should contact the college in advance to discuss parking options. While there's no car entrance, the college has a new accessible entrance and Porter's Lodge from the High Street going up a series of steps. So I've gone on the band group chat and I can see messages flying in from everyone involved. And basically I've said to the band leader, you better get this nailed down tomorrow, because if by Thursday we've got no details, I'll be ringing the college. I'll take it out of your hands. I want to know. And if I find out there is no way we're parking and we ain't getting in, I'm not doing the gig. Simple as that. It was an absolute shambles last time I tried to gig in Oxford. So if anyone is watching this from Oxford and surrounding districts, if you know any way, or if there is an entrance for motor vehicles at Queen's College, Oxford, please enlighten me, because I'm an angry man. All right. I'm vexed about it because, again, had this situation, people never take you seriously. And when you take the gig, you're committed to doing it. But I said at the time, we've got to have parking. There has to be an entrance. If we find on the day, our drummer struggles to get from where he lives to where gigs are, let alone him carrying cases and gear through the streets of Oxford at about 10:30 at night on a Friday in the middle of summer when everyone's a little bit had a few. It's just a recipe for disaster. We don't go on stage till 1 a.m. So this has to get sorted, whether it's someone at the college deals with us or the agent gets in touch with them and gets it. But clearly there's no details. I'm vexed, not happy. Dawson, good to see you. Thank you. Fortnite champion, good to see you too. Westfort, good to see you as well. Hope you're all doing well. So there we are. Hopefully you can all hear me. I hope you can all see me too. We're live. Everything's working there. We're on Facebook too. If someone could just post, let me know that you can hear me in stereo. That'd be fabulous as well. So this is Brooks's Bass Corner. Got any questions or anything regarding bass guitars, bass amps, bass effects, great bass players, albums with great bass players on? If you're looking for help, information, education, or advice, maybe your gear's not working, maybe you've got a problem restringing your bass, trying to build a pedal board, doing auditions as a bass player. If I can help in any way, fabulous. That's what we're here for. Phil DeHove, good to see you. Good luck with sorting out that parking. I'm not particularly optimistic, Phil. I'll be honest. I've never dropped out of a gig, and yet my last experience gigging in Oxford was a complete nightmare. And I said at the time, I'm not getting roped into doing gigs in central Oxford again. And when this gig was offered, I was told Oxford. I wasn't told city centre, outer sections or whatever. In fact, I wasn't even told the college we were playing. We only found that out yesterday. And as soon as they said Queen's College, I had that sinking feeling. It's like, this is just not going to go my way, is it? And it's 1 a.m. we go on. So I've already said to the rest of the band, you better grab a snooze in the afternoon, because by 1 a.m., most people will be flagging. And it's going to be full of drunken, coked up students who are thoroughly leathered. So everything has to be easy, and it clearly isn't. And like I say, I've said to the band leader, You got to get this stuff dealt with. I'm out tomorrow. I'm dealing with my mum tomorrow. So it's up to the band leader to get those details. And I've said, you ain't got the details by Thursday morning, I'll get my own details. It's not my place to do it. It's the agent. That's what the agent takes their commission for. Do your job. They've not provided us with anything. So they're going to have to come up with some info. Sprightly, double sharpish. Know what I mean? Right. Dawson, it's like Tommy, see me, hear me. Yes, it is. Bill Derbyshire, looking and sounding good. Thank you. Eric Wombat, David, loud and clear here in Spain with your Betsy. Quite right. Dawson, what is an Aguilar bass? What does it look and sound like? There isn't one. Aguilar bass, if you see that in my tags on videos, that's something that AI generates. It's a tag that goes into metadata, and I think it just relates to the fact that Aguilar gear is bass related. There is no Aguilar bass. That's not a thing. Aguilar have never produced an instrument. They've done most things, but not a bass itself. So if ever you see a video and in its metadata tags it says Aguilar bass, you can guarantee that something like vidIQ or TubeBuddy will have suggested it as a tag, or even I mean, I've always got vidIQ extension plastered into my YouTube studio, so it'll suggest certain tags anyway. Westfort, you're gigging in a place tomorrow night with a parking far away and the road is sand. Oof. Take a trolley with you. I've already put a trolley in the back of my car, preempting Friday's nightmare scenario. And I can tell you, even though I will have had a snooze, I'll be rested, I'll be in good form Friday. If this all goes tits up, and it could do, I suggest the people of Oxford stay very well away from me and my car, because I will not be a happy bunny. And actually, the band leader said, if we can't get access to the venue with our cars and we can't park, we ain't doing the gig, and we'll take the full fee, thanks. Because in our contract, it said parking and access to the stage with motor vehicles was being provided. And clearly, at the moment, until we're told otherwise, it doesn't sound like there is. There has to be a delivery entrance. Otherwise, how do they get supplies into the uni? You can't tell me, Fortnum and Masons park their van down in the central car park in Oxford and then wheel all their supplies up in metal cages up to the uni. I can't believe that. I can't believe it. There has to be something. But either way, I'm vexed because of it. It just, because you get told these things. And as our band leader said, well, it says in the contract that. I said, yeah, but I did a wedding the other week for a band. In the contract, it said we were being fed. The week preceding the wedding, the band leader contacted the client. You have 10 of us to feed. It's in the contract. Yeah, it's all provided for. We get there, caterer. There's no food. No, we're not feeding the band. There's no provision for 10 people. You got to be joking. There was no food, and we were slap bang in the middle of nowhere. Nothing close, like 20 miles to the nearest shops. It happens all the time. So when people say to me, whether it's a band leader or anyone says, but it's in the contract, I could sneeze on that contract. It's irrelevant. My experience in my career has taught me contracts are like toilet paper. They mean absolutely nothing. You can have it in writing, but unless you've got the gumption to take someone to court over it, there's no point having it in writing. Crazy, isn't it? Crazy. Sorry, I've just had a message. Just hopped on and couldn't see. Oh, very good. Right. Someone saying they couldn't see or hear the live stream. I don't know. Yeah, so there we are. So welcome. Now I've got that out of my system. I knew that would get me riled up, and it did. So I'm hoping by Thursday morning we've got all the info, everything's sorted. We can do a fabulous show for the people at Queen's College in Oxford. Let's see what happens. I'll report back next Tuesday. If it doesn't happen, I'll post on the community tab and you'll know about it. So there we are. Anyway, welcome. Live chat 119 here on Brooks's Bass Corner. It is 16 minutes past 8 here in the UK. I don't know what time it is, wherever you are on the planet. Hope you're having a good Tuesday. Hope everything's going well for you. So tonight we're going to talk about, so we've had a couple of weeks of various sort of topics. We've got back into that kind of thing. We're going to talk about status graphite basses. We're going to talk about Alembic basses. Realized I got to send the lovely Richard Fickman Perkins an invite. Sorry, I'm not on it today, Rich. Just hold on. Bear with me 2 seconds and I will bring you into the live chat and I'll send you an invite as well. 2 seconds. There we go. There's the man, and we will do that. And I will send you the invite, and then you'll pop up on the screen. Everything will be right in the world. This one for you. Need to send one to young James, of course, and that's got to go there. There we are. That's him, his nibs, and that's going in there, and that's him done. That's all good. One for them. That's splendid. These are all the invites. If you want to join in live by video or audio, you can. Just email me using the email address running on the ticker at the bottom of the screen, brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. I'll send you an invite. You click on the invite, and then you can come to screen if you so wish. If you want to do it by audio, that's fine. Just turn the visual part of your camera off when you go live, and it's all good. Right, that's done. That's done. Excellent. I'm very pleased. Yeah, so Westford, there we are. There, I'll bring you to stage straight away, shall I? There we go.
Good evening, sir.
Devil. I'll put my headphones on so I can hear what you're saying as well. You're right. You've been out for a run.
No, it's just bloody hot here.
It is hot. It is hot.
Muggy.
Yes. It's been muggy here all day.
Yeah.
But the wind has been hot 1 minute and then cold the next. And when I went out on my dog walk this morning, I put a hoodie on over my t-shirt. Right. It was cold. It was grey overhead. And I was like, thank God I'm wearing this. The time we were on the return lap, I was roasting. It was like...
I'd imagine you were, yeah. I
was.
Bloody hell. Not good.
But, at least it's cooler than it was Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
that was off the charts.
I'll tell you what, I actually went to see a friend's band, and I was so glad to be sitting drinking a cold beer rather than playing, because at about 10:30 it was about 28 degrees still. It's like,
yeah, it was mental.
You know.
We did a wedding on Saturday with Uncle Funk, and it was in a teepee, one of those sort of things.
Yeah.
And it was so hot, literally my costume at the end of the night just fell off of it. I didn't even have to take, I literally undid the buttons. It just
wring it out sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh, I could. Yeah, the shirt was
been there.
humming. Yeah. I could literally have tipped my trainers upside down. Yeah. Anyway, enough of that.
We did a live tribute show early last month at the Warners at Corston, Yarmouth area. Yeah. On the edge of Lowestoft.
I think she.
And
I don't know about that. But
it was about sort of 15 plus outside, and of course windy. All right. Inside, they had it so hot for the old people. Right. After the gig, we all downed a pint of course, Coke straight away.
Yeah. That's it.
You know.
Yeah. We've all been there. Just out of interest, have you got a TV or a radio on?
I haven't got a TV or radio. My 85-year-old father just walked in chatting on his phone and then walked out again.
That's all right. That's all right. I thought I had a ghost.
Apologies.
That's all right. I thought I had a ghost in it.
No, that's right. Who's that? Yeah,
that's it. So we're talking status and Alembic basses tonight. We can talk about anything to do with basses, of course, but that is a general topic. So Jamie's going to be joining in at about 9 o'clock. You and I can kick it all off. That's all good. Vissel, good to see you. Welcome. Thank you for all your messages on the videos this week. We can do a very quick bit of housekeeping, Rich, so bear with me.
No problem.
So, if you're new to the live chats, this is your first time, this is the video window. If you're on the mobile app, directly below is the live chat window. If you're on the desktop version, the live chat window is that way. Literally put your cursor in the chat box at the bottom of the live chat window, type in your comment or question, press send, it then appears in my feed and I can respond to it, as can everyone else on the live chat. If you want to join Rich and I by video or audio, email me at the email address on that red ticker that's running along the bottom of the screen, brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. Once I get your email, I can send you an invite. Then we can bring you to screen. That's how that works. And you're very welcome to join in, of course. So underneath the video window, we have a row of icons. There's a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Please give this video and all the videos on the channel a thumbs up. It's a big deal, far more of a deal than hitting the subscribe button. The subscribe button isn't important. It's a vanity metric. But if you can give the video a thumbs up, it does more for the video than anything else. Comments in the comments section are fabulous too. And sharing the video out using the share icon out social media, email and websites. Again, it's a big deal. So if you want to help me, help the channel, help the video, thumbs up is the most important thing. Thank you very much in advance. Now on that row of icons, you've got a share arrow, you've got a save button, which allows you to save a video to watch at a later date. There's also a love heart with a dollar symbol in. That's called super thanks. So we're a monetized channel. Any video on the channel has super thanks option. So if you find some information in a video or something we're talking about, or I do a demo or workshop video and it helps you out, you can help me out by clicking on that super thanks button. You can donate to the channel a small amount or a large amount, whatever works for you. You don't have to. Watching the videos is free. I'm not begging for money, but if you want to help the channel, keep us going as long as possible. Everything you see on the channel, the microphones, cameras, leads, stands, lights, basses, pedals, amps, everything that's used in the videos comes out of my pocket. So everything is funded by me. So that's called super thanks. Now on the live chat window, next to the comment box, you've got the emoji icon. Feel free to give that a pummeling. That also helps the channel. But next to that, you're going to see a rectangle with a dollar symbol in. Looks like a dollar bill, obviously. That's called super chat, which works in exactly the same way as super thanks, but it's reserved for the live chat. So if you want to help the channel, small donations, big donations, anything is gratefully received and very much appreciated. You hit that button, you can donate to the channel. You don't have to. The videos are free to watch. The channel is free to get involved with. But if you want to help the channel, help me, help the videos, super chat is a great way to do that. In the description box underneath those icons, you're going to find timestamps. So as of midday tomorrow, once this video is fully uploaded to YouTube, everything we talk about tonight will have its own separate timestamp, so you can click through the video at a later date and jump through to the sections you want to get to. If you're going to watch it, sometimes these live chats take a few hours. Don't they, Rich? Now, if you want to watch them and you think, I haven't got 3 hours to wade through this, go to this, the cog, the settings icon, playback speed. You can speed it up. You can go to 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, and 2 times. If you go to 2 times, the video takes half the time to watch. You can still hear what we're saying. It just runs a bit quicker. That's all. So that's how I watch most people's videos these days, is watch them on double speed, so I can fit more in. So that's in the description box. You'll then find affiliate links for the Bass Center here in the UK, vidIQ, StreamYard, and Top Cashback. You'll find links for Brooks's Bass Corner merch. So there are caps, t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, glasses, mouse mats. We've got the old mouse mats here, of course. They look fabulous. 170 items, 15 different designs. Fill your boots. Wherever you are in the world, if you're in Europe, there's a Spreadshirt site for you. Again, description box. If you're in the US or anywhere else in the world, there's another. It's called Spreadshop rather than Spreadshirt. So those affiliate links are there in the description box. After that, you're going to find bass related or base purchase related affiliate links for Amazon worldwide, Thomann and Andertons here in the UK. And then after that, you've got all the social media links. We're done. Housekeeping done. Right. Bill Derbyshire, you had an open air gig on Saturday. Last Saturday, went on at 5 o'clock. I bet that was a little warm.
Just about.
And had 4 sets to do. It was a killer. I got another one this Saturday coming. Well, thankfully, it's going to be a little less potent this week. I think we're going to be in the mid-20s, so you should be fine, Bill. Think of it as keeping you fit. That's the way to look at it. Michael Anthony, found you. You found me the other week. You came on one of the live chats the other week. You've been looking for me for a while. No. You were on here the other week. You found me, my man. 6 hour difference between UK time and Louisiana is too complicated math for me. We always run at 8 o'clock, Mike. So if you set your notifications for 2 p.m. in the afternoon, all is good. So we've got Phil and you from Phil's channel. So both very welcome, of course. Graham Potts, I haven't seen you in a while. Evening Bass brothers and sisters. Don't forget the female element. They're here too. Westfort, you had a double gig on Saturday. That kept you trim, I bet. Hope it went well. Dawson, it's not Michael Anthony from Van Halen. No. That's wishful thinking. We do get Lee Sklar occasionally. We do get Dave Swift on occasion as well. There's the American education system for you. I'm saying nothing, Mike. I'm saying nothing. So tonight we're going to talk about status basses, Alembic basses. Gareth Harrison's just appeared. Excellent. Good to see you, Gaz. Thanks for all the messages. Right. You can start off, young man. What's your favourite? Yes, you. I want to plumb the depths of that bass knowledge.
Well,
so have you ever owned an Alembic? Have you ever owned it? Have you ever owned an Alembic?
In actual fact, I don't think I've ever played one. I've actually played a couple of JDs, but I don't think I've ever played an Alembic. All I know about them is the order time is about 3 or 4 years usually, and they cost a huge amount. They're about $15,000 for a season Series 2 these days. Stanley Clark.
No. So after last week's chat, I had a quick look at the current price thing. Right. So brand spank. So the way Alembic works is they have a price sheet on their site. Lists all the models, options, everything. And there is like a calculator where you can spec, and as you add the options, it starts to go up. Right. But that isn't normally the price you pay. What happens is, I don't think you can buy a bass direct through Alembic. In the old days, that wasn't the case. What you have to do is go to a bass retailer. They then do the order on your behalf. But because you do it through them, certain retailers offer certain discounts. So you might get 10% off a fancy top, or you might get, if you were having LEDs, you might get 25% off the cost of that. So there are various discounts that can be applied.
Right.
So the price that you see on the website, if bought through a retailer, usually isn't that price that you've seen on the website.
Right. Well, the last time I sort of checked their actual build prices was for about 2010, 11, around there. And
it's gone radically
Series 2, then it was about $8,000, I think it was at the time.
Series 2 now, base model without any extras or anything, $43,100. Which is why I said, I think where you got the 15 grand idea from is that I said on last week's chat,
of course,
15 grand for a second-hand one.
Yeah, that's
right. And funnily enough, there has been a second-hand one on Reverb, and I think it's in Europe, and it's about 13,800.
Right.
But it's not the big-bodied affair. I think it's a Stanley Clark.
One question. Why? How can those be so expensive when, for instance, a bass from Fordera is about 1/10 of the cost?
I think a lot of it is history. I think it's the fact they were the first active basses.
Yeah, true.
They were the first hippie sandwich basses with all the laminates and fancy tops and through necks and what have you. And I think it's a bit like the fancy sports car manufacturers. Only they produce that instrument like that. There's also the research and development that Ron Wickersham put into all that circuitry and pickups.
Right, yeah.
And this is why you've probably heard me say before, and Pete, generally it's the way they're regarded. Nothing sounds like an Alembic.
Well, true, yeah. Very
Just
true.
as we would say, there's
Nothing
probably no
like
bass that sound like Status.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's that mixture of electronics, pickups, construction, timbers, attention to detail, hardware, string anchoring at the bridge and the headstock.
Yeah,
all of those factors. And I've got 3 Alembics. None of them sound even remotely close to one another. Completely individual. It's almost like a child factory, if you think of it like that, in that every single instrument that comes out of that building is completely unique. It's one-off. And this is why when heaven help us when it happens, but as and when Ron Wickersham passes away, you're going to find all these things suddenly shoot up, because even though the company's going to stay there and it will go through his wife and his children, there's going to be that element of the creator has gone, you know, a bit like with Kubicki's. It's going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a the thing with an Alembic is you look at it and think, well, where's all the money going? But it's a tangible thing. And if you are a canny second-hand market buyer, and you, all of mine are second-hand, I haven't bought one brand new. You got to be joking. I can't afford that sort of money. Once you get your hands on a few, or like when they used to be in the Bass Centre and they became the distributor for the UK. I don't think they became distributor for Europe. I think that was Station Music in Germany, but in the UK, when the Bass Centre did that, and they would order models, you could go and spend an afternoon there and try all those different models out, and you start to hear, right, that's what a maple top one does. That's what a Koa one does. That hasn't got a mahogany core, so that's what the difference on one with a chambered body, one without a chambered body, medium scale, short scale, long scale, different pickup configurations. As I said on last week's live chat, an Alembic bass is defined by the electronics package. It's not defined by the body shape. So you can have any body shape they've ever produced.
Yeah.
But the electronics package and the pickups going into it are what define what the model is. So you could have, for example, you could have a Persuader body.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
With a 32-inch scale and the pointy headstop, and have a Series 2 package put in that, and it would make it Series 2. It wouldn't be a Persuader. So the Persuader range, or Persuader model, was basically an invention by Alembic to offer up their P&J pickups. They didn't use them on any other model for a long, long time. So you had the spoiler, which was basically that bass, but with humbuckers, and a different. On the spoiler, it was a volume, a pickup pan or a pickup selector, and your low pass filter.
Right. Okay.
On this, it's 2 volumes and a low pass filter. So they kind of did away with the whole pickup selector thing.
Right.
But yeah, so it's the electronics package that kind of defines what it is. Now, loads of people will not slag off Alembic. They appreciate what they do, but because of the idiosyncrasies and the fact that no two basses sound the same, they'll blame the electronics. Oh, it's too complicated. It's too this. It's just a different way of working. And the filter system, if you've played an ACG or even used any of John East filter system or a Wal filter system, it's just a different way of acquiring similar sounds. But as I was trying to explain on last week's live chat with an Alembic, you have to think of the pickups as bass and treble, because there is no bass and treble in the controls. It's 2 high pass filters, which is basically a gateway between letting which frequencies go through and which ones don't. So if you have the filter wide open, you're getting full bandwidth, full frequency response. If you start winding down the low pass filter, then that determines the frequency at which the high end gets cut off. So it's only the low frequencies coming through. So the way they set up generally on the more expensive series, anniversary, signature models is you have one or a series of volumes per pickup. You may or may not have a pickup selector switch, and then you go into a low pass filter for each pickup. And
that's really complicated, isn't it?
No. This is the thing. People get baffled by it, but it's not. Once you sit down and work it out. I was baffled until I spoke to Micah, Ron's daughter, I think I did it on Instagram, and she said, think of the pickups as bass and treble. Once you think of it like that, you don't want too many bass frequencies coming through the back pickup. And likewise, you probably don't want a lot of treble coming out of the neck pickup. So think of those in terms of your volume or your pickup pan, depending on the bass you've got. Then set your low pass filters as to what you want the predominant sound for that pickup to be. And then what you've then got are Q switches. So on the 20th anniversary signature models, they have 2 settings, up and down. On the series bases, you have 3 settings. So you've got 0 boost. I think it was 3 dB and then 6. But what those Q switches do is give you an attack boost when you play the note. So if you have it on a full Q, which is a 6 dB, and you've got those low pass filters totally open, if you play with a pick or with your fingers or you're plucking the strings, you're going to get this really aggressive attack, which is what you hear when Stanley Clarke is going ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
You're getting that like harsh sounding twang. If you don't want that, then just either set the Q switches at 0 or 3. I think it's 3 and 6. But anyway, set it at 3 dB or 0, and you then don't have that initial sharp attack on the string. But again, all that is offering is a boost at where you've set the low pass filter. But again, if you're thinking in terms of the neck pickup being the bass EQ and the bridge pickup being the treble, then that determines if you are using a pickup pan, a pickup selector, or certainly on some basses, people have asked for an overall volume, a master volume, as well as individual volumes for each pickup. So then you get, it's like with a jazz, you can tailor what each pickup is doing in terms of the tone. So if you set your low pass filters fully open or halfway and then leave them and then just use the individual volume for each pickup, that tailors your tone as you would with a jazz. So basically all that stuff you've done with the low pass filters and the Q switch is the same as the passive tone on a jazz. You've just set the character. It's then up to you how much of that gets mixed in by the volumes, the pickup volumes.
Right. Okay.
But what I've tried to do there, that's like a layman's terms umbrella description of that. But if you look at the Persuader or the Spoiler, that's just 2 volumes and a filter. There's nothing else. So again, use the filter to find your tone, set your volumes for each pickup, and away you go.
Absolutely.
And then if you look at the models lower down the range, you've got the XLs, the Essences, you've got the Distillate, which was long discontinued. That was in the 80s. Spoiler, Persuader, Europa, Elan.
Europa, yeah. That one.
Yeah, some of these models have gone by the by. You can still have them built if you're having a custom build, but you won't tend to find them in shops unless a distributor specifically requests it. But that's the kind of that's the way. I can see a load of messages here. Westfort, yes, it's in Paris, the Alembic, which is at 13,800. Visog, Alembic pricing for very rich deadheads. Micah says it herself, so they can go on a wall in the office. He says with 2 on the wall and 1 in a rack, but mine do come out. Mine come out on gigs, so they don't sit there just looking gorgeous. They actually come out and earn a few bob. Shout out for Phil Plays Bass. Exactly, Phil DeHove. Rob Regan, hi. I don't think you've been here before, Rob, but it's good to see you. You're very welcome. Hi, bass family. Oh, yes, I recognise the face now, of course. Relatively new bass player. Recently bought a P bass. I had Rote Sound 45s put on it. Okay. Got a nagging feeling I should put some flats on it. Well, in that case, I would suggest you keep the 45 Rote Sounds on there, play them until they're dead, and then you will know. Once they die off, you'll know whether you want flats or you prefer the twanginess of them being round wound. Now, you do have options. You don't have to have flats. You can have half wounds, which is a compromise between the two. You might want to try nickels instead of steels, unless you've had nickels on there. You haven't said what string you've actually had there. I don't know if you're talking about rotos, which are the cheap rotor sounds, which are nickel wound on a steel core, or whether you're talking about swing bass, jazz bass, solo bass, pressure wound. I don't know which ones you've got there. So if you want to give me that info, that's cool. But you will know when a set of swing bass, for example, die off and they go dead. If that sound you like, then fine, go to a set of flats. But if you prefer the brighter, twangier sound, you're going to want to stay either on rounds or half wounds. Just to give you an example, a set of flats, rotor sound, you're looking about 40 to 45 pounds. Round wounds, If they're swing bass, 25 quid. Rotos, 12 to 13 pounds. Big price difference. So but the thing is, you put a set of flats on a bass, you're probably not going to take them off for 5 years. So there's that. So if you only spend £40 on a set of flats and they stay on for 5 years, quid's in. If you've got any other questions, Rob, fire away. Mike saying, welcome to bass, Rob. Very good. Westfort, the Epic also. Yeah, I think I mentioned that. Graham Potts, you've got an Alembic Orion. Very nice. Swapped it for a bolt-on. Oh, you had an Alembic Orion. Swapped it for a bolt-on Warwick Thumb a few years ago. Lovely bass. You had the Warwick and you swapped that for the Alembic. Right, got it. Yeah, very nice bass. Very nice. Gareth, depends on what sound you're going for, Rob. Generally, rock and metal, you want rounds for the bright sound and soul and flats for the dead sound. Correct. Michael Anthony, Rob will never notice the strings are dead until he changes them. He will. You will. If you've got a set of rotor sounds, when they go, they're gone. They will sound like a set of old rope. I can guarantee it. I mean, I've been using rotor sounds as an endorsee for 10 years. And when a set goes, I refer you, Michael, to my video. In fact, let me get it and I'll stick it in the chat. So 3 years ago, I did a series here on the channel called the Bass String Experiment. And I put on a set of rotor sound swing bass on a Status Graphite Empathy. And we tried to see how many shows it would do. It did 73. Those strings were completely buggered by the end.
Obliterated.
I had to stop using them because I was scared that they were going to go. I thought they would go while I was on, and I thought I can't take that risk. But a link for that video, if you want to check that out, feel free. Maybe watch it later. It's about.
I get probably on Elixirs, on the Jazz, I get about 40 odd live shows out of Elixirs. On the Status Basses, on the 30 to 90s, I get about 3 gigs, 4 probably.
That's like gauge strings. Like gauge strings. There's no metal. There's the oil in your fingers, the skin, all of that.
Yeah, that's
There's
right,
less metal, less diameter. So literally, it just coats the string.
Yeah, it does.
They die off. But yeah, normally I'll get on that Empathy. I'll get about 30 to 35 gigs as an average out of a set of strings, round wound steels, and then they would come off. And when I passed that and I got into the 40s, I thought, "Ooh, are these just going to go? Are these going to go?" I got into the 50s. It was like, these are hanging on for dear life. I can't believe it. We got into the 60s and I'm like, I had a set of strings literally sitting on top of my amp every gig because I thought they're going to go. They're going to go. And when we got to 72, I thought, I don't know, I want to do the next gig. And then I got to the next gig the following week and I thought, now we're going for it. And at the end of the 73rd one, the sound on my IEMs from the bass was just horrible. I could hear all the resonance had just gone, the life
dying,
gone. And you literally play a note and it was like someone dropping a right pair from the top of a block of flats. And as it hit the ground, it just goes. That's what the tone was like out of those strings. It was just horrible. And I thought, I can't risk this. I'm going to be doing like a theatre show and a string is just going to go. And it's not even going to do like when a string snaps normally. It would be so dead. You'd hear it go, for fuck's sake.
It'll actually
it would be like that.
Wind and it'll go just droop.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Basically,
that was it. And I wasn't willing to take the risk, so they went, and that was the end. They probably could have done another 5 to 10 gigs. I just wasn't going to risk it. Let's see. Rob Regan, yes, rotor sounds 4505. That's good, Rob. But what's the product? Are they swing bass? Are they pressure wound? Jazz bass? Solo bass? Rotor Sound is the manufacturer. 4505 is the gauge. Funk Masters, which are the 3090s. PSD, which are the ones you have to screw the ball end onto. Michael Anthony, I change my round wounds once a month. Love the new D'Addario round sound.
Good.
Very good. That's
Clean
very
string.
methodical. Well done.
Yeah.
But then you play about 2 hours every night. Yeah, you're not in the trenches doing hot, sweaty gigs like I did last Saturday. In fact, I was surprised that those strings have still got any life in them after last week. 'Cause it was so. We had a haze machine, and it was like playing in the fog by James Herbert. It was just like, I can't see anything. Thank God for the LEDs, but literally the sweat was pouring off my arms, and it was like, this is not good. I haven't done a gig like that in years, but very good. Westfort, your status strings are dead.
Change
Yes.
them.
He changed them a couple of months back, but did you see the post I sent you from Status that there's major, well, I'll say it on the live chat for those who need to know this stuff. You people need to know these things. Status have a problem with their string manufacturer at the moment. They have huge numbers of outstanding orders and the strings haven't come through. So if you've ordered hot wires from Status and you're thinking, where are my strings? It's going to be a little while yet. So I suggest you either find something else that you like to get you through, or you're just going to have to wait. They will come eventually, but until the manufacturer sends them to Status, you ain't getting your strings. So just to give you all a heads up if you've ordered those strings. Gareth, did you get my message regarding Duran Duran doing a Halloween show in Manchester? I did, and I've seen that literally since Sunday. I keep getting posts about it in my feed. Sadly, Duran Duran tickets are so highly priced these days. I know they're raking the cash in while they can, but I saw them in 2023 and it was a fab show, and I was really pleased it was a fab show. But I remember thinking afterwards, this might be the last time I see them, because their prices, they flog the VIP packages so heavily that it eats up literally most of the front sort of 20 odd rows. So you can't get that close to the front of the stage unless you're paying over the odds. And I find it weird that they've only announced one show for Manchester, but they're playing at Co-op Live, so it's 23,000 capacity. I think that's going to be their only show. I don't think they're going to do London, and I think they're assuming people from the UK will flock and fill it out. I'm not convinced they will. I think a lot of Duran Duran fans, unless you play in their town or a big city near them, I don't think they'll travel. I don't think they'll sell that show out, if I'm honest. Not at their prices. If the prices were more reasonable, probably would. But I think the price, the way shows aren't selling out at the moment. Not just here, I think across the globe. I think a lot of American shows aren't selling great numbers. People don't have the money to spend. And when you're charging 150 quid a ticket for the basic ticket, it's like, I'm not paying that. And I'm certainly not going to drive all the way to Manchester for the privilege. But thank you, guys. Yes, I did get the message. But like I say, I've been getting messages from Duran Duran's website and social media feeds probably since Sunday about that. Michael Anthony, your strings are nickel on steel. I tried stainless steel once and they felt sticky. Depends on the string. They're not all like that. Bass Center Elites are steel, or if you have the steel version, they aren't sticky. Yeah. Some people say rotor sounds feel sticky. I think of them as textured. So it's not that they're sticky. And rotor sounds when they're brand new are rough as hell, but after you've done 2 or 3 gigs, they kind of even out. And the reason I say they're textured, it's like having grip. So if you get sweaty hands, I don't, but I sweat from my head and down my arms. If you have a hot, sweaty gig like I had on Saturday, that texture on the winding actually gives you something to grip onto so you don't slide, which can, sorry, I feel like I've got a spider's web on me. Hold on. That time of year, you know, when you get
yeah, definitely.
And like, oh God.
Yeah, absolutely. The worst one is when, of course, grit gets caught in your eye.
Oh yeah,
lashes.
Yeah,
you can see it.
And it's that time of year for that as well.
Yeah.
Hang on, here we go, Rob. They're the pink pack, right? If they're pink, I think those are Rotos. Swing bass are orange pack.
Yeah, they are.
You're not at home right now, so can't check. That's okay. Thanks for all the great advice, though, guys. Really appreciate it. You're welcome. That's what we're here for. Keep firing the questions at us, Rob. Westfort, problem is my fingerboard keeps getting covered in crap, so I need to change them quite fast. Well, you don't have to. If you're using double ball ends, they're very quick to take off. Do the old WD-40 on the phenolic fingerboard, put strings back on. You should be able to do a double ball end string change on a status within about 2 minutes. Really. So it's just a case, take the strings off, do the WD-40 thing, put the strings back on. You'll be fine. You'll get there. You'll get this. Just practice. What double ball end strings do you recommend? Well, this is the problem, isn't it? Because if status hot wires aren't doing them,
GHS steels seem to be good.
You're looking at
those
out of the big string manufacturers. You're looking at GHS, Rotor Sound, but they don't do the lighter gauges. They start at 4000s, and Bass Center Elites.
Bass Center Elites, yeah.
It used to be years and years ago. There was a lot more of them, but because headless basses didn't die off, they just became a little less popular. And a lot of string manufacturers consolidated the amount of strings they were offering. Although you look at the Daria, it's like they have a new string range every week. It feels like if you go on their website, there we go. That's the Elites. Yeah. So you can have double ball end 30 to 90s. That's it. Now there's a packet that brings back some memories. That's from about that is about 1991, I think.
Actually, these are the last 2 sets they've actually sent me have had this pack.
Yeah, that's the old. That's the old packaging. The original Bass Center Elites were navy blue with coloured lines.
Yes, that's right.
And it was different to that. They
navy
very
blue and yellow.
That's it,
wasn't it?
That was it for the standard. And I think once you went through the different products, then the colours changed. It might well be in my Watt bass up there, But if you look at the original advertising, that's what they did. So what do I recommend? Well, I'm very lucky that I stockpiled loads of double ball end Piccato strings from when I had a deal with Piccato. So I slowly worked my way through those, but I do have some Rotor Sound sets. And I'm sure if I wanted some from the Bass Center, I could go and buy some from them. So you got to try all these things, Westford. I would suggest maybe buying a set in the gauge you like of each of the manufacturers that do double ball end strings. And then from that, you'll know which set you prefer and then go with that. But clearly there are issues with the manufacturer that Status are using. And they're in semi-retirement. How much longer are they going to carry on? So you're going to have all these people who are reliant on hot wire strings. At some point, they won't be able to get them. So I don't want to do Status out of any money, of course. And if Rob and Dawn are watching this, I'm not that way inclined. But you might want to check out some alternatives. So when that day comes, if you haven't stockpiled a load, you'll be prepared for the change, which you're going to have, which is what happened to me with Piccato. Once they stopped, I had to find a new string manufacturer. So that's what led me to Rotor Sound. Gareth Harrison, Co-op Live are not charging bands to use the venue for the first 3 years. It's a new venue, hence why most bands are playing it. Oh, interesting. Okay. Thank you for that.
Where is it? That one?
Manchester.
All right. Okay.
It's the big one that's owned by Irving Azoff of the Eagles.
Oh, right. Yes.
And Harry Styles is one of the owners. Like a lot of celebs bought into creating it. It's the place that had all those startup problems a couple of years ago.
Right, yeah.
It was on the news and all the gigs for like 3 months had to be cancelled and rescheduled. Michael Anthony, the stainless steel I tried that felt sticky were in fact Rotor Sound. When did you try those, Michael? Because so Rotor Sound had not issues, but they had some manufacturing things that changed over a period of about 10 to 15 years. So I used to use them. I then moved to using Bass Center Elites. In 1997, I got offered a string endorsement with Piccato. I stayed with them till 2015. I then spent about £400 of my own money in 2015 trying out loads of different brands, different gauges, different materials. I went with Rotor Sound. The Rotor Sound strings that I've had since 2015 are a world apart from the Rotor Sound strings I had in the late 80s and early 90s. Totally different type of string. I've used them for 10 years. I've had no string snap. And like I say, I used a set on the Status Empathy and got 73 gigs out of it. So I wouldn't have used them if it wasn't an experiment for that long. I wouldn't have taken the risk. But the fact that they did that, and it suddenly made me think, well, actually, they can take a good hammering, can't they? So, but try a set now, unless you're saying that you tried a set in the last 10 years. But if it was further back than that, try a set now. They're quite different. Westfort, I will do a quick fingerball clean. Very good. Very good. Bit concerned about the neck moving. Hey, you got a graphite neck. It's a king bass. Neck won't move. Don't worry about that. It's a graphite neck.
Is it
That
a
neck ain't moving.
through or bolt-on one?
I don't know. Tell us, Westfort. I think it's a through neck.
Okay.
But it's still, take the strings off.
Because if it's an actual through neck, you could drive an actual truck over it and it'll be fine. Yeah. They're absolutely rigid.
I refer you to Guy Pratt's story about the Status graphite bass he had for a Pink Floyd show at Earl's Court, and he basically wanted to do a copy of The Who smashing up their instruments. He couldn't get the thing to chip. It wouldn't even chip. It was a solid graphite. It was I think it was might have been a 2000. So this was in the mid 90s. I think it's before they did his GP model. And he said he couldn't get it to break. Couldn't get anything to break off it. He kept smashing it against the
Status. I remember him recently.
He had a red one. He's had many Statuses.
Videos, and he'd got a fretless S2 or something, or 2000.
Yeah. Oh, he's had many. He's had Streamlines, the GP, which was his original signature model. He had 2000 Series 2s. He was quite an early adopter. He had when the T basses first came out. He had one of those in '95. But no, you don't need to worry about the neck moving. Don't. It's graphite. It's a graphite neck. It won't be moving. Don't worry. Michael, about 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, well, fair enough. If that was your perception of those strings, well, I can't.
Although I actually find that, of course, flats cause sort of grooves in across the actual fingers, and that feels as if they're actually sort of, sort of gummed on almost. So,
okay, those are called groovy grooves, according to Billy Sheehan.
Are they really?
Groovy grooves in your fingers, yeah. Gareth, Co-op Lives inside the Etihad campus at Man City. Okay.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
That's put me right off. Westfort, his graphite neck is a bolt-on. Won't matter, Westfort. Nothing will happen. It's graphite.
No. It's as
read up on graphite. It doesn't.
As anything.
Yeah, I took my empathy to Israel many times, and the last trip I did there, it was 49 degrees, as in 49 degrees
Fahrenheit.
over 100. Over 100 degrees. It didn't move. Nothing moved. Don't worry. It will take a lot to make that neck move. Don't worry. You need to stick it in like 1,000-degree fire. Phil, graphite is used in RBK reactors, isn't it? Sadly, famously. Yeah. Exactly.
It's used in reactors, racing cars, aeroplanes, boats,
squash rackets, tennis rackets.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
ships, boats, hulls, ship hulls. Yeah, all of that. You need Brooksy merch bass strings. I don't think I could get a manufacturer to do them at a big enough discount, sadly. If I can get as big as Scott's bass lessons, then yeah, maybe. And I'm surprised he hasn't tried to do that. And I know Ian Allison has his own Labella range now. And obviously Bass Direct have this. Marcus got them to do 3090s, replicating the old Mark King Nickel 303 set. Yeah. How about that? If I've got all the other merch, of course, but no strings.
Actually,
go on.
For these actual warm days, I need an actual Brooksy, cap.
You know where the merch link is. I hold no stock. It's merch on demand. You have to place the order with the the company. That's how it works. There's no merch here apart from what I had to buy my own merch, and I'm the designer. You don't get it for free; you get it for a discount. But if you are anyone thinking of buying some merch for the channel, if you go through on the links every month, throughout the month, there are different discounts. I think the biggest discount I've ever seen for my merch is 35% off. And I used to post it up on the socials and on the community tab. No one bought anything. So I haven't sold any merch for quite a while. When we first launched it, it sold really well, and then sort of interest just died off. But if you want some, go through on the links, and I can start posting up what the discounts are if people are interested, but no one ever mentions it, so I don't bother. But like I say, the biggest discount I've seen was 35% off, which wasn't bad. So if you were buying a £22 t-shirt, it's brings it down to about 16 quid, which isn't bad. And the gear's great. It really washes well, irons well.
There you go.
I've had no problems with any of my merch, and anyone who's bought anything. Well, Graham will tell you he bought a hoodie and then got it stolen. So whoever got the hoodie got a really nice hoodie with my logo on it and nicked it off him. And that was a pretty penny as well. I think they were about 35 quid. But the gear that they have, the merch, the quality is very good. I can't wax lyrical enough about it. It's very good. Westfort, perfect. I'll do it before tonight's gig. There you go. You see, if you want to, I know you're trying to clean the fingerboard, but there's the old trick of, if you want the strings to sound a bit brighter, there's a guy from Denmark called Marlowe DK, and he put a video up on his channel about 13 years ago and how to make your strings sound clean. So he did an audio demo of his Music Man Stingray, and the strings were dead as buggery. There was literally no response in them, no snap or anything. He then did this trick. So basically the strings are on, and you just pluck them really, really fast. You go ding, 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 ding. Put a sheet of paper underneath. And as you pull the string, all the crap falls out of the strings. You see it on the paper. It's like, He did it for each string and then did another audio test. They sounded brand new.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
For about 2 or 3 gigs.
Yeah.
So if you've got a set of really dead strings, if you do that plucking thing, a couple of minutes on each string, so you don't have to boil them. Just literally pluck. And it just clears all the rubbish, all the gunk that's dried up from between the windings. And it seems to work.
The other trick you can do is you can actually put them in the oven on a baking tray at full, hot, for about a quarter of an hour.
And that works, does it?
That actually gets the actual junk to actually just drop out of them.
Yes, because it'll dry it all out. Yeah.
And a friend years and years ago used to have a bottle solution of methylated spirits with a few drops of washing up liquid in it.
Yeah. So, it's all about, because people think it's the metal wearing out and the elasticity. It's not. It's all the gunk.
No, it's actually
windings.
Crap. Then of course the actual,
it's off of
grooves,
these,
isn't it? It is.
So,
it's
exactly
bits of us.
That's it. Westfort, what type of cloth do you recommend for the WD-40? Anything. I use kitchen towel in terms of like paper bait, like tissue, thicker. So if you've got kitchen towel for wiping up water and stuff in the kitchen, a couple of sheets of that, spray the WD-40 on that, wipe that on, let it sit there for about 2 minutes. If there's any residue, you wipe it off, buff it off, done. Easy. Gareth Harrison, as you can imagine, it can be bedlam if there's a gig on at the Co-op Live and City are playing at home. A couple of months ago, fans leaving a Manchester derby at the same time as a Paul McCartney show. I bet that was a little busy. Yeah, not for me. That would, do my
Just
head
one
in.
question.
It's like,
after having seen him with his done voice tracks at the Olympics, can Paul McCartney sing now?
I don't know. I mean, he does get up at other people's gigs. They won't have a track, so I'm guessing he has, or he can. But the voice is getting thin.
Yes, because I backed Brian Poole a few times, and there were basically 5 of us singing, covering him. So,
the old vocal cords shrink as you get older.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, definitely.
Westfort, your King bass is going to look brand new. Hope so.
Well, I
That's the
hope so.
idea.
Yeah.
Get some of the, I said this before, I'll say it again, the green one in there. Cream of Carnauba Wax from the Dunlop set. You can buy the bottles of the Carnauba Wax on its own. Get any swirls or scratches on your bass or like constant playing
if
gets
it's
a
an
bit
actual
swirly?
bolt-on mic, it might only have the satin finish on it.
Good question. What have you got, Westfort? If you've got a gloss finish, this is fab.
Yeah.
Takes all the swirls out.
If it's
Actually makes you
satin finish, probably a very gentle dab of teak oil, probably. Just, you know.
Yeah.
Rub it in.
You've got a gloss. Okay, very good.
Oh,
That's
gloss.
stuff for you,
Good,
young man. Little bit of that, literally like 1 penny, 2 pennies maximum on a cloth. Wipe it on and it creates like a haze across the gloss finish. Goes all kind of misty. You leave it on there for about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Get a duster or a buffing cloth or a microfiber cloth. And I'm trying to think, there was a guy, Lewis Wingrove, who knew all about polishing, and he told us how to do it. I think you swirl it on and you wipe it off straight.
Up and down. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I use that stuff.
Wax on,
if
wax
you want to
off.
see, exactly, Westfort, have a look. If you go into the videos here on the channel, there was a video I did just before the bass string experiment started, and then one at the end. And there's a workshop video about how to make your empathy play better. I do the polishing bit on there. You'll see it. You'll see the before, you see the after. The gloss finish looked like glass. Yeah, after that. So highly recommend that. And you can help Brooks's Bass Corner by going to one of the bass retailers in the description box, the affiliate links. And I have that in all 3 of my bass stores for those retailers. So it's the Dunlop Cream of Carnauba Wax. You want the green bottle. Can help me. Affiliate link. In fact, if you want, I can produce an affiliate link for Amazon straight off the bat, or a Thomann link. It's up to you. If you want me to do that, I can do that right now. But if you want to sort of do that later on, then fair enough. Michael Anthony, how should a person clean and care for maple fretboards? Like my Fender has that thick clear coat, but my Lakeland has no visible clear coat. Okay, Fenders with thick clear coat, it's literally just any cleaner. So if you're in the US, I use Simple Green, which is there's nothing harmful in it. It cleans muck really well. That clear coat, there's nothing else you need. There's no special chemical or cleaner for that.
Something generally that doesn't actually contain wax, like a furniture cleaner like Pledge.
Simple Green is what you want, because he's in the US. He can get it really easily. Over here in the UK, it's harder to get. But in the US, as soon as I say that, it's like it'll be like Dettol surface cleanser spray. It's their equivalent, but it has no harmful chemicals or compounds in it. It's literally very eco-friendly, and it cleans muck off a gloss finish really, really well. So use that for that. But your Lakeland has no visible clear coat. Okay, so for that, you might want to look at, well, there's a couple of things. I had some stuff which is in the garage called maple butter, which is really good for maple fingerboards. And there's also Murphy's soap oil, which Ernie Ball and Music Man recommend for their maple fingerboards. So don't need much, just a little bit on a cloth, wipe it in, let it settle, buff it off. Simple as that. That's all it is. Problem with maple fingerboards that have no coating, though, if you get
dirty, don't they?
Dirt and sweat off your fingers, no amount of product is going to get that off unless you skim the board. So you either have to stay on it and be really, like, every 2 to 3 weeks do another procedure, or you just got to accept it's going to be what it's going to be and use these maple cleaners just for it's not even a lubrication of the fingerboard. It's just it maintains a level. It's like a protecting coat on the wood. So those would be my suggestions, sir. Westfall, on the neck, but the body is satin. That's what we wanted to know, was the body. Okay, cleaning the neck, you're just looking for any standard polish.
Yeah.
For the neck, but the body is satin, right? Yeah. What did we say? What did you say for satin finish?
For satin finishes, if it's a satin lacquer, like it was on my Series 1,
yeah,
I'd say the Pledge again.
Okay, let's have a look on.
Because I actually know for a fact that Rob does a quick clean over the base, body and fingerboard and everything with Pledge prior to you actually picking it up.
Okay.
So I would say Pledge is probably the best one. Generally, you just need to check that it doesn't contain any wax.
Okay. You might want to, I'm just having a look at the FAQs on Status's site, and aside from fingerboard cleaning, they have not mentioned anything for body cleaning. So you might want to just drop them an email, maybe, and see what they come back with. They're the people that build them. They'll know. Gareth, use lighter fluid to clean maple boards. Okay. Ooh. But no, with a thick coat. That's okay. That's Dave's World of Fun Stuff. Yeah. Because basically the chemicals in it evaporate.
Right.
It's actually good for cleaning maple boards. Yeah. But if it's got a thick coat, you don't need to. Just a cleaner will do. Will do for that. Michael Anthony, Simple Green, you've got some. There you go. There you go. It's all it needs, because all you're doing is cleaning gunk off the polish. You're not actually cleaning the wood. If it's got a gloss coat on it, you're not getting down to the wood. Fret eraser for the frets. Very good, my man. See, you've learned something there. Excellent. KCC base. Kev, Home Depot, Lowe's or Ace Hardware for Simple Green in the US. See, this is what Brooks's Base Corner is all about. All these pointers, all this info. Right. Murphy's soap oil. Brilliant. Yeah, I got some from Amazon for that, and it works fine. James Howard, good to see you. Now, we were going to talk about ACG bases, so if you want to go back down that road, we can do that at some point. You use Pledge anti-static. Okay. Just be aware with gloss finishes. A lot of manufacturers, if it's got silicone in it, they don't want you using that on their gloss finish because it tarnishes it.
Yeah. Can I just say that actual picture, James's base, it's absolutely glorious. That's a King Base 1 Black Beauty. Very nice.
I remember when they came out, 2003.
Yeah.
The year after the Princess base. So you'd had all the King bases, all the King base artists. People flocked to buy them. Then they did the Princess, and not many people flocked to buy that because they'd already cashed out on the first run. And then they did the Black Beauty, and everyone was like, oh, I've got to buy another base. And they couldn't keep up. Then the Retroglide, then the and it just went on and on and on. Yeah.
Retroglide, yeah. Then the Paramatrix and the 30th.
Paramatrix, mirror finishes, chrome finishes, and then he kind of ran out of ideas, and right, we're on to the T bases, and off we go.
Yeah.
There we go. People saying thank you. That's all good. Right, James. Yes, we were. So yes, you came on the live chat the other week. We got ensconced in something. I didn't get to answer your questions about ACG. So what would you like to know? What would you like to talk about, James? Fire away. I've reviewed a couple. I knew Alan through the London base shows, and Rich has owned one. So yeah. So whatever you want to ask, whatever you want to talk about regarding ACGs, you fire away. So while we're waiting for questions and comments, so that potted history about 20 minutes ago was my take on Alembics. Anything you want to ask, Rich, based on the three I've got, experiences of them?
Yeah.
What would you like to?
In actual fact, while we're on, could you do an Alembic demo and actually plug in?
I don't think I've got a cable in here. No,
okay.
Mate, I can't. All my cables are in my case, which are in the garage.
Oh, well.
I'll do that another week, though. Remind me. Okay, but I can get them off the wall. I can get any of them. I can can pretty much access any of them. So if you,
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, I'll take the 20th anniversary off the wall. I'll talk about the, just going to move that message.
Okay.
I show you the control layout and stuff. Let's get rid of these banners. Don't forget, anyone wants to join us by video, you can. There's a ticker running along the bottom of the screen. Email me, brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. I'll send you an invite. You click on the invite, you can come in and join the conversation with me and Rich. It's as simple as that. Oh, it is like lifting a tree off the wall. They're that heavy. You feel your arm strain as you do it, but they are very nice, I have to say.
Is it like the King Bass?
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put you into a smaller window here.
Okay.
Like that. I'm going to get rid of that banner. So now I've got a bit more space to play with. So this is a 20th anniversary. Let me get rid of the mic. I'm just going to put that down a bit like that. There we go. So the control set on this is quite different. It's different to series basses. So try and give you an explanation of what we've got going on here. So no LEDs in this bass. Obviously jack socket. There's no pin cable. There's none of that. And it's not an XLR socket. It's basically it's a power supply in the series basses. You have a box, or you can run to a rack mount, and it basically powers the circuitry within the bass. So this runs on 9 volts.
Okay.
So here we've got, it's a two-way switch. So you can either have it in mono or stereo operation.
Right.
So if you're going to run it in stereo, you need a stereo cable running from there. We've then got a pickup selector there. So you've got, and in fact, I think there's 4 settings. 1, 2. There is 4 settings. So one is off, and then you've got obviously neck pickup, both pickups, bridge pickup. Then you've got 2 volumes. So you can't see. 2 volumes, one for each pickup. There's no master volume. It's just the 2 individual pickups. Oh, there. And then you've got the individual low pass filters for each bass. And then there you've got the Q switches. So on this model, they're 2-way. So it's either 0 or 6, I think. I need to check the spec for that. And that's it. So it's a bit simpler than the series basses.
Right. And it even has a very handy a drain hole for your
pint.
Hot evenings.
That's it. But the neck on this is very, very different to my signature, which is quite a thick, bulky thing. This one is a whole lot slimmer, and it has a sound that is very reminiscent of like the 70s twangy Alembics.
Right.
Less like the signatures. And this was made in 89, just when the signatures started appearing.
Right.
At the same time, I think signatures came out in 88. This was from 89, but it kind of follows the older basses. It's long scale, so it's a fair old reach. You know, you need a taxi to get to the low F. But and the other thing you have to bear in mind, as with most of these Alembics, long scale, the bass is inlaid, the bridge is inlaid like on a Warwick. Yeah. So if you're used to playing and your hand just drops down, on this, your hand has to drop down and across before you even get to the pickup, which puts a lot of people off. But then you end up with, which is why kind of Mark King used to wear his so high anyway, which he did with the JDs, but with this bass, you kind of have to. So in order to make this feel normal, because the neck feels so long, you shift the bass that way.
Yeah.
Which then means your playing hand sits where it normally would on any other bass. Yeah. So then it doesn't feel quite so long, but you can't have it where it wants to sit, although there's no contouring on the back. It's rounded, but there's no contouring. Oh, I'm trying so you can sit. There's no contouring.
Yeah, it's just flat. Yeah.
Yeah. But it then feels like a regular bass, but you couldn't have it like a Stingray might sit at your midriff and angle up.
Yeah.
Although that actually isn't too bad, but it looks a bit odd. You got the bass is up in the air. It's like head height.
Yeah. No, it's.
But they sound unique. There's demos here on the channel of this. You can hear it in all its glory. It's fab. It's fab.
Lovely.
I love playing this, but it just if I don't know the venue I'm playing at, I'm not going to take it because
Okay.
the length of it, and I need to make sure I have some room on the stage.
Yeah.
So I'd use it for Uncle Funk.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I don't use it because our costume, the guy's shirts have sequins, and I'm not getting this all scratched up on the back
No.
for the sake of a shirt.
No.
Whereas
Not
if I'm
good
wearing
idea.
like a suit, if I'm wearing a suit or a t-shirt or a regular shirt, I've taken this out and done gigs with it. And it sounds great. Sound men always go, wow, what is that? And you say, have you ever heard of Alembic? Yeah, but I've never seen one.
Yeah. See?
You have now.
Yeah. So apart from Stanley Clark,
Mm-hmm.
and I know John Edwards had one years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Who else are the main Alembic players?
Mark King.
Well,
obviously,
yeah.
John Entwistle.
Really? All right.
Oh yeah,
He had one. All right.
John one. He had about 8. So
yeah,
if you
okay,
if you watch the Who at well, actually, him and Stanley Clark and John Paul Jones were the main 3.
right, okay, yeah,
and Phil Lesh. Phil Lesh was
right,
between him and Jack Cassidy. Phil Lesh.
yes,
They were the first 2 local players to adopt them in America. And then I guess John Paul Jones first, Stanley Clark as well, and then John Entwistle.
right.
But if you watch the Who at Live Aid, Won't Get Fooled Again, after this, go and watch it on YouTube. The bass tone. I was 13 years old, just turned 13. I didn't know I was going to be a bass player. 2 years later, I thought I was still in raptures that Queen had done the set they'd done. I was like, oh my God, I've just seen something amazing. And about 2 hours later, the Who came on and they had technical problems. But by the time they got round to Won't Get Fooled Again, it was all working. Listen to the bass sound. And I remember I was eating my dinner, having been blown away by this amazing concert on the telly, eating my dinner and the Who were on. And I just looked up from my dinner and went, what the hell is that? You could hear this bass going, bow, bow, and it was all this noise.
Yeah.
I'm like, Christ, that's good. I like that. And once I'd got a bass and I knew that Entwistle was playing Alembics, it was like, right, now I know what that is. And lo and behold, 8 months after I started playing, Mark King's using Alembics. It's like, well, okay.
There you go.
Then 6 months after that, I see Level 42 at Wembley Arena on the Staring at the Sun tour, Series 2 in full flight with that whole rack system he had going on and effect. And I was like, oh, that's the tone I want. I want that, not knowing, know, and then seeing one in Rock Bottom in Croydon. I said this last week, where a guy had a full Mark King Series 2, bells and whistles, LEDs, down to, everything 100%, same as his Cocobolo. Ordered it, couldn't play it. So traded it in against the Kabiki and got a bit of cash as well. I could have had a full bells and whistles Mark King Spec Series 2 for 2,850 quid. We weren't to know. Yeah.
It got away.
Exactly. It did. Just a shame, really. Right, James Howard, you like the Krell? Okay. Played one at the bass show a few years ago and almost bought it there and then. Beautiful Purple Heart top. I do like Purple Heart on a bass, I tell you, I do. And I've seen a few with it as a top wood. I think Stanley Clark had one made in the mid-2000s. It was like almost red. It's a lovely wood and it sounds really good as well. And
there was a Purple Heart status I saw on the internet recently. Can't remember what it was, but yes.
It's a lovely looking wood. It can really complement light woods really nicely. We'll come back to that in a moment, James. Just going to rattle through these messages. Michael Anthony, that's a gorgeous bass. Thank you very much. Gareth Harrison, never played an Alembic or a status bass. That time
don't know what you're missing.
Especially with the statuses. And again, they can be quite idiosyncratic. You can pick up one model and you think, wow, it's amazing. Pick up another one, it just doesn't do it for you.
Yeah.
And I've heard people say that, but the joy of a status, as long as it's got a graphite neck, that neck ain't moving. You can do what the hell you like with it. Put it in the oven. It isn't going to move. Put it in the fridge. Nothing changes.
Freezer even, not a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
having to reset up basses when it gets warm
Yeah.
or cold or it's damp outside. Or
I've actually done outdoor gigs with a status in probably about -2 or 3.
yeah.
It's fine.
I did a couple of gigs in an
Fingers
arena.
weren't, but the bass was fine.
I did a couple of gigs in a Kazakhstan arena, and it was freezing.
Yeah.
That Nick didn't move.
No.
Like you say, your fingers are gone.
No.
But the bass
Yeah.
was fine. You know.
Yeah.
Elegant Men. I recognise you from my vertical live streams that are impromptu. Did I plug it in today? No. I don't have a cable to hand. Rich asked me to do that. So next week I'll plug up. In fact, maybe what I'll do next week is plug up all 3 Alembics and you can hear the differences.
Yeah.
I'll do that next week.
Yes.
Next week for that.
So if I can take a quick break, I will
Yes, sir.
pop to the loo and things. And
You do
I'll
that.
get a bass.
Live bass.
Plug in. Okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Right.
sure. I'll carry on the chat while you're predisposed.
Thank you.
Pleasure. See you shortly. Hoyt, good to see you. Some guy, a buddy said an Alembic sold recently in Albuquerque for $7,000. That's on the cheap side. Yeah. So like we were saying earlier, over here in the UK, you will be very lucky if you get an Alembic Series 2 going for less than about 15 grand. There's one in France at the moment on Reverb that's going for 13,800. This is a 20th anniversary, not quite the series models, but very nice anyway. And yeah, Gareth Harrison, John McVie of Fleetwood Mac played Alembic. Yes, he did. All of Rumours is Alembics. Howie Rogers, good to see you. Welcome back. You were on last week. Didn't talk much, but that's fine. If you wish to do so, you can. If anyone wants to join in by video with me and Rich, can do. Just email me using the email at the bottom of the screen, brooksyspacecorner@gmail.com. I'll send you an invite. You click on the invite, you come straight through and you can chat away. It's like having a FaceTime chat with your mates. It's all good. Hoyt, I didn't realize how many extra features they have. Thanks for that breakdown. Not all the models do. So this 20th anniversary has its own kind of control setup. A Series 1 has a similar setup, but not the same. Series 2 has more and more of everything. Let me take this off. Hold on. Got to do this properly. You can't just whip an Alembic off. It doesn't work like that. I'm not going to try and hang that back up, but I'll show you the Persuader. So the Persuader is a very different beast entirely. A lot simpler, but still sounds fabulous. Let's just remove Howie there. So people recognize this shape because Prince's band, Revolution, and then after the Revolution, they tended to use Persuaders and spoilers. So it's got that headstock as opposed to the big crown headstock. Sits really well, plays really nicely. This particular model's got two volumes, and so that's, I'll show you. So we've only got 3 controls on this, which is lovely. So you've got 2 volumes, one for each pickup, and then you've got the low pass filter, which makes it sound like a wah-wah pedal as you pan across the frequencies. And that's it. Alembic bridge, of course. It's a lot simpler. This is a flame Koa top. You see the flame in it as I tilt it. The vertical lines, striping effect. This was bought from Nick Smith. Lovely Nick Smith. Last year, nearly a year, I've had this. Little did we know what was going to happen. But there we go. So he didn't have it long. He only had it for about 15 months. I think he bought it to do it up and then sell it. And he used the money to buy the JD that J Bass has now got. And he bought a black and white Rickenbacker. He bought 2 basses for the sale of this. But I wanted one of these, so it's all good. Very simple. Nothing particularly difficult with this. You got the Alembic nut there. So basically you can raise it and drop it if you so wish. But a very nice bass. Sounds great. Like I say, next week I'll plug these 3 up. There's a Mark King signature standard there. All 3 of them sound completely different. Not even close to each other. It's all good. Right, let's rattle through these messages. Bill Derbyshire. I believe the Alembic John McVie played on the track Dreams had a metal fretboard. Yes, indeed. Aluminium board. Have I tried anything with Bartolinis? Yes, many basses over my career. I think I've owned a couple that have had Bartolinis, but usually my experience is having them on instruments I've reviewed when I was writing for the magazines. It's always like them. There's quite a few different models, different circuits. Sometimes the pickup ranges are voiced slightly differently, but Bartolinis are what they are. They have quite a signature character, quite mid-intensive, but powerful. And I always liked the tone of the Bartolinis that were on Dick Nolan's Zon when he had a blue Zon when they were recording Once Around the World, and his bass tone on that album. I don't know what the circuit was. I presume that was Bartolini as well, but the pickups were Bartolinis, and I love that tone. It was great. A friend has a Padula with Bartolinis. Yeah, Mike Padula sort of favoured their pickups. Again, I don't know if it was a Bartolini circuit. It might be. But yeah. So good Lord, it's just gone 9:30. Crikey. Rich and I have been talking a hell of a long time. You're very welcome. Brooksy's Bass Corner, live chat 119 tonight. So thank you very much for joining in. We're coming live from London town here in the UK. If you've got any questions about bass guitars, bass amps, bass effects, bass accessories, great bass players, albums with great bass playing on. If you've got any problems with your gear, looking to buy something, need some advice, building a pedal board, maybe got your first audition for the bass role in a band, if we can help, it's what we're here for. It's what we're all about. So whether it's me helping you or someone else that's here in the fabulous Brooksy's Bass Corner live chat community, we'll try and help you out as much as we can. Kev, you got Barts on your Say Flamboyant with a Shack circuit. Those Shack circuits, is that, you've got a Shack circuit which has got all those dip switches. Lee Pomeroy's one, I see the man there. Lee Pomeroy's Shack circuit. He had a bass built in the mid-90s with a Shack circuit. I think Shack pickups as well. And it had something like 36 dip switches on the circuit, cutting in and out various frequencies. I wouldn't know where to start. You know, it'd just be like, well, which one have I accidentally knocked today? And suddenly it doesn't sound like the same bass you had yesterday. Crazy stuff. But have you got the same circuit, Kev, with all the dip switches on? Crazy. That would be a nightmare. I'm just going to check the stream health while you're adjusting everything there, Squire.
That's all right.
Let's just check everything.
Wobbling around a bit.
That's all right. We all have those days. Let's have a look here. That's good. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's looking good too, I think. Anything in the community tab? Oh, Nuria Pujadas Martinez. Thank you for the messages. So if you didn't understand, I was referring to Mark's great musical career as the best bassist in the world, and his technique, in my opinion, he should be much more recognised and valued than he is today. He is valued here in the UK, most definitely. Don't worry about that. He's not going without, I can assure you. So I've got someone who's been responding to my Mark King posts on the shorts over the past few days, and got a bit of an ongoing conversation going on. By the way, over the next 2 to 3 days, we're going to be hitting a few landmarks here on the channel. So already today, but I haven't got notification because the analytics don't come through till 10 a.m. Today, we hit, in the lifetime of this channel, 800,000 views. So thank you very much, gang. Can't do it without you. 800,000 views. And the weird, well, this is it, because I've been doing all the shorts lately and we've been getting elevated views and the live chats and what have you. We've done 100,000 views in, let me work it out. 3rd of May was when we hit 700,000 views. We've done nearly 100,000 views in 7 weeks, which is off the charts, off the scale. I don't know, it's taken nearly 5 years to do 700,000, yet we do 100,000 in 7 weeks. Crazy. So thank you very much in advance. Very much appreciated. On top of that, I expect within the next 2 to 3 days, in fact, I can check this now while I'm here, the bass collection video, which I'll put a link for very shortly in this chat, is about to hit, when it goes through, that's the fella, that one, 25,000 views, nearly, on one video, which is huge for me, huge for the channel. So again, thank you. Can't do it without you. You guys keep watching the content. Fabulous. So if anyone wants to see that, it was a video I did in January 2023. The collection's changed a little since then. But anyway, at that time, there were 33 basses in my collection. They're all there in this video. So if you want to check that out, feel free to do so at your leisure. You can push me over the 25,000 threshold. Kev C bass. No, we're talking about his Shack circuit on his bass. Just treble, bass, mid, pickup, selector, and 3-way tap switch. Very nice. Michael Anthony, congratulations on the 800,000. Thank you very much. Won't be long at this rate. If it keeps going like this, we're going to hit 1 million views by about early September.
Easily.
So it's everything is ramping up. I can't show you the graph. Oh, I can show you the graphic, although I'm not meant to show you, but I can show you. I won't do it. I'll save an image of how the channel's progressed over 5 years. You can see where we are. We're going up big time at the moment. So yeah, we've been going along like this thing like that, just straight. And now it's all of a sudden gone bang. So we're heading upwards. So well done, everyone. Thank you for getting involved. Gareth, is that all from all the shorts? No, that's everything on this channel since day one. So that'll be 800,000 views of everything. Live, shorts, long form, the lot. So thank you. Stu Mill, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on ACG basses. Well, we're coming around to that.
ACG.
Neoland, Pete, good to see you from Belgium. You make great content. So do you. I like all your videos. I sit and I watch them. So yeah, takes one to know one, you see. Well done. Great minds, Pete. Right, ACG bass. So you've got a status in your hand. So let's just before we get on to that, let's do this ACG chat.
Yeah.
So James likes the Krell. Played one at the bass show. Almost bought it there and then. Had a beautiful purple heart top and in the neck, almost an alembic tone. Yeah, because I think that Krell, does that have a through neck? I'm trying to remember. I can't tell you off the top of my head. You tell me, James. The through neck, but also the filter system is what gives it that alembic tone. Now, weirdly, Wals have a filter system. Don't sound like alembics. Not even close. And a lot of that is to do with the pickups in Wals are very different to alembic pickups. The other thing is, as we said last week, series basses on alembics have humbucker housings, but in there is a single coil pickup. So it's a thinner sound. The basses I've got, the 20th anniversary, Mark King, Alembic, Signature Standard, and the Persuader, those are proper Alembic humbuckers. It's a fatter tone. It's less glass-like. You've got less of that sort of finesse and detail. It's a bit more body in the tone. So that's, if you compare a Wal to an Alembic, the pickups are totally different, even though the electronic systems are filter-based. Gareth, is the sudden increase because of the recent shorts? Yes, because I've been putting up 3 shorts remixed from the live chats every day for 2 weeks. Today is actually the first day we had a drop in views and viewed hours, but the analytics are always 2 days behind. So that would have been on Sunday. And I'm mistakenly scheduled 3 shorts for Sunday, and stupidly they all went live at the same time. I forgot to adjust the schedule time, so 3 videos went out at the same time instead of being staggered throughout the day, and I think that affected the views. Because shorts I have no control of. Once they're posted up, that's up to the YouTube algorithm to plonk it into people's shorts feeds, whereas long form content is more search based. And although it will get presented on the people's home screens, it's not like YouTube Shorts when it's automatically put in the feed, and it's up to someone whether they watch it or they swipe away. That's how the Shorts thing works. James Howard, well done on the views. Thank you, my man. The Krell is a through neck, and yes, John East ACG filters. Well, John East's filter system is quite fabulous, and I know because I've sort of frimicked around with it in his workshop. He had it in a couple of basses, and it's the same filter system that Stanley Clarke had put into one of his Spellbinder basses back in 2008, I think 2009. He was asked to create a filter system for Stanley, and so when Stanley was over here doing some gigs in, I think it was 2008, he visited John and had that filter system put in. So he knows what he wants to hear. But the ACG filter system is very good. It is, but then John's built it, so and what Alan does with his basses is very nice. I did a couple of reviews for Bass Guitar Magazine. Let me just call up. I think I did 3. I think Bass Guitar Magazine, bass reviews, ACG. I did a retro BJ4. I did an ACG Salus E-type fretless 5. I think there was one more, but I can't see it in there. Hold on, let's just see what those look like. There was one, I think it was the fretless 5. Yeah, it was. So it looked like a Viennetta. So anyone who doesn't know what a Viennetta is, in fact, I can show you. It's a dessert by Walls.
Ice cream and chocolate sandwich, basically, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. Let me just show. I can share it. Hold on. Presents share the screen.
Walls, technically now doesn't exist.
Yeah,
it's now part of Unilever.
That's it. The browser can't access my screen. Try capturing a different screen. What? That's a StreamYard muck up. Hold on. You're not fobbing me off with that. I'm sorry. Present. I'll tell you what. We'll do the image file. I want that. Bass review published. There we go. Hopefully you'll get this. So it looks like a Viennetta. So anyone in the UK will now go, I know exactly what you mean. There was an issue with your file. StreamYard, get your act together. I don't pay 225 quid a year for service like that. Pull your finger out. Not good enough. I've just clicked on show comments on stage and it's not showing that. There's a box there, but it's not showing. StreamYard, what are you doing? It's all going a bit Pete Tong tonight. Come on. It's not good enough, is it? I pay for this. Here we go.
Oh, it's working. There you go.
So it looks like a Viennetta to me, but it was lovely to play. I had it here in my office for about 4 days. Really, really nice. Loved it.
Yeah.
Lovely tones. The filter system, it kind of makes your brain boggle a bit to begin with because there's so much going on. But once you realize what everything is doing and you can repeat or using a looper pedal was good because I could create like a basic bass groove and then play over the top of it and change all the controls. You can hear all the different facets of that bass tone. It's great. Really good bass. Yeah. Very impressed. But obviously now I'm not at the mag. We don't have the bass shows. I haven't heard from Alan in ages, actually. I should contact him, see if he's got something for a review he could send me. Gareth, have I ever played a piccolo bass? Yes, I played, it could well have been an Alembic piccolo at the Bass Centre, probably in the mid-90s, I think. Very nice. I would have no use for one whatsoever. But, some people do. If you're doing a lot of recording, handy to have. I doubt you'd ever get called to use one on a standard band gig.
No, because you'd have no E string, so therefore you would earn no money.
Correct. I mean, where's the money?
On the
E string and the first 5 frets, of course. James, I have a J East Retro 5. Yep, I've got one of those. I've got the Marcus Retro. I've got the Uni Pre in the Lodestone bass with the Sims Super Quads. And I've got the Stingray replacement circuit in a Stingray here. Yes, that East Retro 5 in your Ibanez transformed it. John's circuits are so flexible, really, and they give you so many good tones. And it doesn't take much to dial in a good tone on a Johnny circuit, really. You suddenly think, why didn't I have one of these before? I know when I got the Marcus Retro circuit, I hadn't had the bass that long. And I compared it with a lot of the other circuits I had in my other basses. And it was like, Christ, this is like Mission Control. But it just gave you so much tonally to call on. You know, it's like a palette of colors. And you could pick, oh, I need a little bit more mid. And I'll just sweep that there. And I've got an extra treble boost. I have that. And I'll cut the passive tone control tone. And just lovely. Just made that Marcus Jazz just a different instrument entirely. My bad. It's the you've got the Unipre. Cool. Right. Okay. That's what I've got in the I've got a version of the Unipre in my Lodestone here. It's got Sim Super Quad. So some people, I'm not sure if the short has gone up for this. It might be in the morning, or it might be after this live chat. There's a short going up regarding this bass later. Let me just move the microphone. Take that picture down. Oh, there we are. StreamYard removing stuff again. So on this bass, I had a Unipre, which hadn't been out that long, about a year at the time. So these 2 switches are for the Sim Super Quads. We've got volume. There's no push-pull on it. Then got a treble with a push-pull for an extra glassier treble. Bass, cut boost, treble cut boost. Get it right, Mike. Pick up balance. And then I've got a mid sweep and frequency cut and boost there. No passive option. Didn't want one. Nice hand you got there, Rich. Yeah. So yeah, that's a Neutrik circuit there, socket, sorry. And I had to have the bridge saddles replaced. So anyone that's heard me banging on about Lodestone basses in the past, one of the big features of them, which Mark Gooday ploughed a lot of money into, was to have ceramic bridge saddles and ceramic frets on the basis that you would never need to have them dressed. And what happened to the bridge saddles? They all cracked.
Oh.
So when this went in for the pickups and the circuit, Martin Sims did it all. He replaced the bridge saddles with, these are old saddles out of a Warwick bridge. And that worked. That saved it. But literally all the bridge saddles in that bass split, cracked and splintered. I didn't even use it that much. I bought it secondhand, took it out in a couple of gigs and they just shattered. I don't know if it's because they dried out or they weren't old. The bass could only have been about 3-4 years old. Crazy. Yeah, so we're up to date there. Right, let's talk status. The man has one in his lap. So let's
Clutches, yes. I do indeed.
Speak forth in ringing tones, young man.
This is a Stealth 2, dating from 2021, so it's one of the last few.
Mm-hmm.
All graphite, of
Hold
course.
on. I'm gonna make you the bigger of
the
the 2
no.
screens.
The big screen is me, eh?
Won't do it.
Nearly. Hour. That'll do. So it's got board 303 in it, and generally most Stealths had only the 2-band.
Yeah.
But it's got the more rounded edges, and it's basically wonderful.
Mm-hmm. If that's ever going up for sale, give me a nudge before you put it online.
It is really, really nice, actually.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I didn't buy a Stealth when they came out, was didn't have a 3-band EQ.
Yeah, and sound-wise,
have you got the mid boost turned on?
pardon?
Have you got the mid boost turned on?
No. Flat.
Put it on. Put it on. And then play a string and pan through the frequency sweep, and people will hear what that's doing.
Yeah. So if I play the A, so now it's full on.
What that does is it takes some of the body out of the EQ and gives you more definition in the high and low.
Yeah.
And then when you go back the other way, you get more of the mid-range honk that now is at the current point.
Usually it's actually played just flat.
Mm-hmm.
So I play sort of,
Now kick the boost back in.
All the mids.
More guttural. It's like a wider sound, as opposed to the focus sound when it's flat. You suddenly got that. But now go to the cut. Now you get in the bandwidth.
Yeah.
Not a lot in the middle. You get a lot of bottom, a lot of top.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful circuit. In my old covers band, I used to have the mid boosted all the time. I couldn't not have the mids boosted because I had to fill that frequency range.
Yeah.
For me, drums, guitar and vocals and backing track higher up.
Yeah.
In Uncle Funk, I'm finding I can't use the mid boost. It's too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't sit where I need to be. So I either have it flat or I have the mids cut.
Yeah.
And actually then roll off some of the EQ. But it's a very powerful board, that.
Extremely.
Great.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
And it's funny when people are on like status groups on Facebook and they would go, I've got this, but I can't make it work. And they have no concept of what that switch is doing.
Yeah.
They've never looked. They think the mid control is just a mid control. And it's like, no, it doesn't do anything unless you're boosting or cutting using the switch. The 3-way switch is cut when it's up,
flat and boost.
That's it. Yeah, it's in the manual that comes with the bass.
It is. That's right.
And it makes a huge difference. And once you know how that works, and then you start sweeping across the mids, you can be on a gig where there might be loads of carpet and curtains, and it's really sort of damped down. That mid boost will get you out of trouble. You might then go to a place that's all hard surfaces, wooden floors, nothing damping down the sound. You have to reel back that mid boost. It's too much.
Absolutely.
But like I was saying, Uncle Funk, we've got so many instruments and instrumentation and frequency. My envelope of where I can sit is very small. Whereas in a 3-piece band with just guitar, drums, and a backing track and bass, I had a whole sphere of frequency to fill.
Yes.
Very different. But the bass does it great.
Yes. And of course, these, be they S2s, S2000s, S2 Classics, these ones, they all cut straight through. So if you're ever trying to play a jazz or a P or something, and of course you're actually just getting buried in the mix, these cut straight through like a knife.
Exactly.
And
you don't actually really have to tweak. I find the EQ, bass, middle, and treble are really there just to help you through. Mm-hmm. If you have everything flat, it's a pretty good tone to start with.
Yeah, it is.
And then you get people who buy them and turn everything up on full. And it's like, you don't need to do that. That's not what it's built so it sounds good straight as it is.
At the box,
that EQ is it's one of the best plug and play basses you can have.
It is, that's right. Yeah. Definitely.
So any other State-I there with you?
My S2 in Curly Walnut you've seen before anyway, similar to this one, and the King Bass Artist Mark II.
Get it in. Come on.
I shall just drop the camera quickly because I've got to change things around.
That's all right. That's okay.
A couple of minutes.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. We got some messages here. Neoland, Pete, I just called you Pete. That status sounds incredibly good. They are incredibly good. They really are. There's lots of people. I remember there was a strange bloke used to frequent the bass gallery in London. I won't mention his name. And he had a right go at me because I had a Stingray with a graphite neck, which I've still got, of course. And he started ringing me up. I think the gallery may have given him my number. He used to ring me up and go, "Oh, you don't like status. Oh, it's like playing a gravestone. It's so cold. Oh, it's got no tone." And all that. And it's like, it's rubbish. Get them out on a gig. That's where you see what a status can do with a graphite neck, with or without a graphite neck. They just afford you so much flexibility, no matter what band you're playing in, where you're playing, what the stage is like. Is it boomy? Is it dead? You're playing a marquee on a wedding. You've got some power and grunt just within that circuit. I've never had to push my amplifiers that hard if I've been using status empathy. Just don't have to do it. The bass pretty much does it all. And it kind of, that and the GB Rumor 4 were the two basses that kind of taught me, and actually my Mark King Stingray to a certain extent, EQing on the bass, not on the amp. And even now to this day, very rare that I play around with the EQ settings on an amp. I might, like if I'm on the Queen show and I've got to use precisions, I might give the high end a little tweak on a couple of songs, or I might have more low mids on a couple of songs. But generally, I like to do all of that on the bass if possible. Just rattling through these messages, Rich. Key
right.
Doherty, you got a few pedals with adjustable mid frequency. Never really know how to use it. Thoughts, Richard? What do you think?
I have a few pedals with adjustable mid frequency. Never really know how to use it. Generally, traditionally, I leave the mids flat, right? Because I generally like a sound to be old-fashioned curved, yeah, scooped, but not dead flat in the middle. If you genuinely can't actually hear yourself against the keyboards and the singers and the drums and everything else, by all means just add a little bit of mids, but always beware that mids are out front to the audience. If you just boost them hard, your sound to the audience will actually be harsh.
So I will add on top of that, sterlingly fabulous advice is if you're going to boost, you really want, if you've got pedals with adjustable mid frequency, we're talking about a sweep. So basically you've got one control that sets the frequency and another control that sets the amount of cut and boost. Okay. So on these statuses, the amount of cut and boost is predetermined by a three-way selector switch, which has three settings, which is cut at a certain decibel level, flat, and then boost at a certain decibel level. But the mid control on that board is selecting the frequency, and really you want to have that. Basically, that's a parametric mid. So as a bass player, I would generally say, as Rich says, if you're starting to get lost in a mix, that's where your mids come in. It's your get out of jail card, especially if you've got a problematic boomy stage or a room that is full of shiny surfaces or a room full of carpet and curtains that's soaking all the frequency up, or you might be playing a wedding in a marquee, which it will just drain all the power out of your signal. You play a note, there's no sustain, string's still ringing, but you can't hear the note. What you want to aim for generally, in my experience, if you're going to add mids, go with low mids first because it will give power and reinforce your signal. If you go for the harsher end of the mids, you're just going into presence. So if you've ever had an amp with presence on a control, it makes it clanky and barky. So you're getting that sort of over lively mid noise. And it's great if you're playing with a pick and you're in a punk band because you're just going to turn that full up. It's not great if you're playing fingerstyle or you might be doing slap stuff or soul stuff, you ain't going to want that. But low mids is where you're at. That's going to get you out of jail. So when I say my status empathy, I've always called it a tonal battering ram. It'll cut me through a mix. It's that low mid section that if I'm just getting lost or it's still becoming a bit mushy, I can either do it on the bass or on the amp. You can do it on these pedals. Just give your low mids and just go on to Google and look for a 12-band graphic. And the mids generally is about, it will cover like, so if you think of a Trace Elliott 12-band graphic, the mids are sitting from about the 4th fader up to about the 9th. So the 1, 2, 3 are going to be bottom end and sub. At the top end, you've got the really high glassy treble, and then it starts coming back down towards the high mids. So those 6 faders in the middle, so 3 at the start, bass, then low mids, mid mids, high mids, treble.
Yep.
That midsection, those 6 faders will do everything. So if you've got a Trace Elliott or any other bass amp that's got a graphic, start turning them up and down. You'll hear independently which ones you want. And if you are on a stage and the bass is feeding back or it's howling a bit, just adjust those mid, leave your bottom and top end as they are and start rolling through the mid EQ. And you'll find there'll be one fader, you'll bring it down, it goes. And it's the weirdest thing until you know it.
Yeah.
And I had to get a drummer to come and show me. He said, "Oh, it's that. It'll be 270 hertz." And he just went donk on the fader and it all went. And I was like, "How did you know that?" He said, "Well, I know bands of EQ." He said, "And your middle," he said, "What's your mid on your bass doing?" I said, "Well, it's a little bit boosted." He said, "Well, you had it boosted on the amp as well." He said, "So just leave your bass as is." And it was on my heart key, so it was all listed out of the frequency. So it's just that one. You were starting to get into the high mids, just knock that down and took it away. It's like, it's a miracle. Here he is. Everyone knows him. Everyone loves him. There we go.
Hello.
Hello.
Jamie.
We're just rattling through a couple of questions here. So 2 seconds and I'll come back to you. Keith Doherty, generally just muck about with it. Note, there is theory in the science. So
Yeah.
there will be loads of videos here on YouTube explaining how to use graphic EQs and setting up mids and stuff for bass. So maybe check a couple of those out, Keith. Sorry.
In actual fact,
go on.
If you hear or play an actual really, really, really good jazz, it's actually usually just a little bit proud in the lower mids. If you play a cheaper one, say one of those active sires, you usually find the active sound, the actual scoop is actually too deep. So you need to boost the mids a little bit and also turn the actual frequency backwards a touch. It just lifts it a little.
One thing to remember, Keith, mids give you definition in a band mix. So the bottom end and the low mids give you power, but the mids themselves will give you definition and presence. But again, if you go towards the top end of the mids, then it just becomes a clank before it then gets
then
into
you have a
like,
Rickenbacker.
Correct. And then you start going into the top end, which where you get the glassiness for slapping. Gareth's asking, are the status groove basses a good entry point into the world of status, or do they not compare? They're very different from what an archetypal status is. So groove basses were Status's reply to Music Man Stingray. Because at the time, Rob didn't have anything that could contend with Stingrays. And also, the grooves came out in a late 97, mid 98. The whole Music Man fanboy thing had kicked in 1991 when Red Hot Chili Peppers came out with Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic. I said that the wrong way round the other way. I think I said Blood, Sex, Sugar, Magic. But anyway, you knew what I meant.
It all works the same.
It all works the same. But the groove bass has got graphite reinforcement rods in the neck, but it's not a graphite neck. It's a wooden neck. So when we're talking Series 2, Series 2000s, T basses, Empathies, King basses, all of that, the groove bass is quite detached. It actually bears more correlation to the begins with B.
Barracuda.
Thank you. Barracuda bass, which
is a large sort of a droopy bodied jazz.
Yeah. And it's got the groove headstock.
Yeah.
And the Barracuda is a development on from the original T bass. So if you like, the T bass came out in 95/96. Then the Barracuda and the Groove came out around about a similar time, but they looked quite different. So the Groove is more of a rounded Music Man style body shape. The Barracuda is a bit more of like a woody, Warwicky jazz bass kind of thing.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
The actual Barracuda has the pickups laid out as two outers and one dummy with, of course, gaps between them.
It's the T-bass setup.
Yes, and
the dummy core.
and the Groove has all three joined up,
which is not dissimilar from the Ibanez ATK triple coil.
Yes,
pickup.
true. Yeah, very true. And also with the Groove, I have one, which is a very nice one for sale.
There you go, Gaz. You know a man who's got one. Kev C-Bass, or you're playing one of us. Hey, well, exactly. I if I'm using an Empathy or a GB when I'm doing ABBA, Kev, little mid boost, treble just up a nats, bass end not quite as plummy as the rest of the set. Bit of definition there. Graham Potts, has anyone tried the Status Paramatrix EQ circuit? I did when they first came out, and I had the same impression that I had when King Basses came out. It just felt like a rich man's toy. It was just excess, and a bit more excess, and we can split every pickup into like a million coils, and we can do. And it was like, well, where's the sound?
Yeah,
you've got a palette of tones, but I couldn't tell you which one I'd use. Yeah, I know.
Zero sound.
So there was a lot going there. And people that buy them, some people say, "Oh, it's very easy. You just do da 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 da," and that's fine. But it's the sort of thing. In a gig, you can't find your tone. Where do you start?
Yeah,
that's right. On a P bass.
Talking
but you're in the middle, 4 songs into a set, and you're playing a song that suddenly isn't the same sort of bass sound as it needs to be for other. How do you modify it and then come back to what you had? It's
absolutely, yeah. Talking of rich men's toys, there's a really heavy one sitting on me at this moment.
Oh yeah,
generating.
We're talking toys, aren't we? Yeah. Go on then. So this is Mark II King bass.
So this is the next to last Mark II King bass ever built. So it was built as a special order for a chap in Hawaii in 2019. And
why didn't he get on with it?
I have no idea. All I know is that Will from Bass Brothers sent his eagle-eyed people out and bought it very, very quickly.
Yeah. And how much was that?
A lot.
I'm interested to know in terms of a gauge on figures. So did you buy that in 2019?
No, I bought it this year. I think I got a deal, 3.6.
That's probably about right.
Yeah,
I think what's going to happen is over time, once people realise there are so few of them. Yes. I mean, I had someone asking me some prices on some States bits the other day, and I was like, it's really hard. It's hard to price it because at the moment on Bass Brothers, there's a Series 2. Because they had a whole bunch of Streamlines.
All right, yeah.
And about a year ago, different colours, different finishes, and it was like they've gone up so much. They're like 2,700 quid. So they've got a Series 2 3700 vintage plate. I'm just trying to make sure it's not an anniversary model.
How old
number
is it?
Number 369. So probably 88, maybe 88, 89. Pardon me.
My original one was number 402. So it's
this is ash with a flame maple top. So it'll be a lively little number. Yeah, it'll have a bit of a bark on it as well. £9.48, 4 ounces. Sorry, but original plate, the Status base plate.
Yeah,
but let's just see if they've got. See if they've got any other Stati in stock. Hold on.
I think
they have. They've got Status Electro 5 for 1,500, which I think is a little overpriced because there is one up for sale elsewhere with a pickup as well as the Pizzos going for about 900.
Right.
And there's the Blue Burst Status Eclipse 5 fretless on at 1,000.
That's been there for ages.
Yeah.
And generally, if it's actually wooden necked, Yeah, people can price
Which it
them at
is.
1,000, 1,500, whatever. They're not going to fetch more than about
No.
7 or
I
8
think
or
that's
9.
like a 1992 model.
Yeah, they generally on the used market, the magic is in the graphite.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
You know.
Keith Doherty, how do you choose the frequency suite? Depends on the stage room. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically set your bass and your treble how you like to have it. And then when you're on the stage in position and you can hear the sound on the stage, and perhaps if you've got a wireless setup or sound man will be in the main room facing the stage, they can give you an idea if things are boomy, twangy, not enough body, not enough bass, too much bass. And then basically I'd give yourself like a halfway boost in the mids and then sweep across the frequencies, and you'll find the point that just sits perfectly. It means you can be heard, can be felt in the nicest possible way, of course, and isn't going to cause a problem with the rest of the instruments or the stage. You don't want that stage rumbling and shaking with like excess, so you'll find it. And it's not like a magical thing that, you know, you do it once and it's perfect. Over regular gigging and different rooms, you'll learn all this stuff. It happens with experience, is all I can say. But again, if you can get, like, go into Google, call up a trace 12-band graphic image, see what the frequency centers are, and then you can work out, you'll see how it goes from hertz into kilohertz. And you've just got to know roughly, have an idea. They teach all this on sound engineering courses. You get an idea of what certain bands are going to do to the sound. And like I say, if you've got a 12 band, the first 3 are going to be bass and bottom end and sub. The next 6 are going to be low mids, mid mids, and high mids, and then treble and glassy top end at the other end. You have Trace Elliott's also. Well, there you go. You're already halfway there. Regarding the 12 band, that's great. Yeah, there we are. All of that. Michael Anthony, my Lakeland has a 500 hertz mid control. There's a different idea from my Boss EQ stomp box of what 500 hertz is. Don't forget, on the back of your Lakeland, Mike, you've got those dip switches for how the mids are set up on that bass. If you don't know what I'm talking, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Go on the Lakeland. Go into the Lakeland website, and there's a document you can download. I've got it here. It's in that pile there, and basically it's a graphic which shows you the dip switches and all the different permutations, and that affects, I think it's the mid on the circuit, or it's something to do with the humbucking pickup. I can't remember. I think it's the circuit. Jamie, in fact, I'll tell you what, let me just do a search. Lakeland mid control dip switches. It's for the LH3 preamp. There we go. Images, what I want. There we go. So someone posted it up on Bass Chat. So it ranges from 225 hertz, 250 hertz, 275 hertz, 450 hertz, 500 hertz, 550, 600, 900, and 1100. So if you're a slap monster, I'd say you'd probably want to be setting it for the 1100, so you get more twang and bite in the top end. But if you're looking for throaty definition, I'd say you're looking around about the 275 to 500 range, maybe 550 at a push. You don't really need to be going near 600 hertz and 900. That's just going to add clank to what you're doing. But yeah, that'd be my advice there. Right, we're update. Hello, Mr. Pink Bassman. How are we?
Hello, Squire. Hello,
Yes.
hello, hello. And the
All
lovely
good?
bald one in the middle, yes. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear status.
Yes, you do. We're talking
Absolutely.
alembics and statuses today.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Yes. No worries. Well, I mean, if you can't throw status and alembic in there without speaking of Wal. Because, you know, sweepable frequency, yeah, right, filters and frequency sweeps and all that, you know, kind of all goes together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your experiences with all three?
Well, okay, so I've had 6 Wals. I've had all Mark 1s, 4 strings, of course. One was a pro bass with the single pickup. It was the active model with the pickup in the middle on the scratch plate. And then the rest of them were that was a pro bass one. And then the standard Wal Mark 1s, wingy top, mahogany top, poly finish, black and white, all kinds of lovely bits. So yes, I've had a blast with those. Alembic, I've had a Series 1, 1980 Series 1, which was interesting. I've had a distillate and what they called the, let me think of this for a minute. It wasn't the spoiler. There's another one. And it was a single pickup. It was a single pickup with a pointy headstock.
Excel.
Thank you. Excel. It was no, actually I had one of those too, but this was just a single pickup, but it had the body of something else. It had the pointy headstock, but it had a...
Did it have the rounded body with kind of roundy horns?
Yeah, but they were pointy at the ends. So, I mean, I'll have to go back and look. It was kind of a strange one. It was a strange one, but it sounded great. But it was unique. It wasn't something that everybody gets. So
just quickly, James Howard, I've sent you a live request invite, so it'll be in your email. So we'll have 4 of us on. And Albriano, greetings from great state of Texas. Have you guys tried Gensler? Yes, I have. You want to get first real good rig. You bypassed Aguilar and went with Gensler. They are awesome. They're very good. They're very good. I've reviewed many when they first came out.
I've only blown up one.
About 11 years ago, when they first came out, after Gens Benz stopped.
Gens Benz for ages and ages.
Still got one.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're great if you don't blow them up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So we're talking Alembic there. So have you ever compared a Series 1 with a Series 2?
So yes, because a friend of mine had a little brown bass, little Series 2, the little shorty bit, and aside from playability, because the Series 2, the small little guy, looked like a toy, felt like a toy. The neck was like this big, so it was actually quite uncomfortable to play because it was too small.
Well, this is the thing, because all Alembics are whatever they are is based on the electronics and pickups package. So you can have a small, medium scale, short scale, whatever you want. It's defined by the package that goes in it. So sometimes you'll see an advert without a picture and it'll say Series 2 Alembic, da, 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 and then you see a picture and they've put it in a short scale, small body, and it's like, ugh, that's not what I want. Not even close.
I'll tell you what, this one would have been fab for Tiny Tim.
Yeah.
I mean, I picked it up.
Hello, sir.
There it was.
Welcome.
Good evening.
We're just in the middle of an Alembic chat, so we'll let Jamie finish his point.
So needless to say, I for the amount of money that somebody was asking for it, there's no way I would have even messed with it. The Series 1, on the other hand, large body, long scale, 34 scale. The balance thing was always a challenge because of where the strap buttons are. But I mean, I kind of think that goes along with a certain other brand that we all know about. Yeah. That, because it's similar in design, obviously. Of course, they also, the ones I tried were very nice. They were very nice woods. There was a Cocobolo one. There was a walnut one. And I'm trying to remember what the third one was, because there was a third one now that I think about it. It was a 77. It was a zebra top, zebra wood top.
Was the Cocobolo excessively heavy?
They all were.
Okay, yeah, but I've always heard that it doesn't matter what brand of bass you're playing, a Cocobolo top will always add on a significant amount of weight. So normally when someone, or if a manufacturer is, and the customer said, I want Cocobolo, they'll match it with the Swamp Ash body just to reduce that overall weight. I guess it's the density of it.
Well, that makes sense, because I mean, when I was thinking back on the Wal Basses, the Wengi top and back I had weighed a good tenner. And the mahogany one, because there were only 2 of those I think made at that time, early 3000 serial number, one of the last fish basses. It was very light. It was actually like just a hair under 8. Okay. So quite light. I was really surprised. Yeah. Oh, 8 pound, an 8 pound bass, nothing to it. I mean, that's like throwing around, a stick. Yeah. But, so, I mean, it's just what it is. It's like, so, I mean, I've had experience playing with them I don't know is that I would purchase one unless I was going to get it secondhand, only for the fact that I wouldn't want to pay that much for a coffee table. No offense to anyone. It's just lots of woods, amazing woods, just not my thing.
Yeah, that's all right.
Tried it. I mean, I did the walls too, but the walls were different, obviously. But I don't know. I had more fun with the wall than I did with the Alembic, to be honest.
Okay, interesting. What have you got there, James?
You're on my baby.
Let's have a look. There we go.
Oh,
Excellent. See, now Rich will be on the phone in about 10 minutes.
yeah.
Or less.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
How much?
If we see Rich go audio only, we know he's gone.
Yeah. He's off
Yeah,
typing
that's right.
away.
That's right.
It's 2004 originally.
Okay.
And I picked it up in 2009 from a chap locally
Nice.
down here in Bridgewater.
Nice.
So
There were a lot of them doing the rounds because, as I recounted earlier, when the King basses first came out, everyone on the Web Digest, Level 42 Web Digest, bought a King bass, even if they couldn't play bass. They went and shelled out like three grand on a brand new top of the range bass, and within about 10 to 12 months, the market. I remember eBay, Bass Chat didn't exist, Facebook didn't exist, but like you go on Gumtree, King bass,
Gumtree,
King bass,
Yeah.
and it's like, why are they selling them all? And it was just basically people had bought them thinking they could suddenly play like Mark, and this was the re-emergence of Mark as a player, having retired, and they suddenly realised it wasn't as easy as they thought it was going to be. They had $3 grand tied up in a bass they couldn't play.
Yeah.
So
I didn't pay that for this, but it took me over 20 years to get to the point where I could finally get a status bass.
Yeah, nice. We got a good one there.
Well, yeah, I
Absolutely.
spent many years down at Wapping
Yeah.
dribbling over the Alembics in the middle of the Trace Elliott stand in the early 90s.
Yeah.
so
Who didn't? Who
We all
didn't?
did it? Yeah.
Oh, mate.
Yep.
That was
Yeah.
a
I
time.
look back and I think of all the basses, especially status stuff that they used to have in the bass centre, and I just wasn't in a financial position to take the plunge. And you think,
No. But
all the
I
ones
gigged
you
it.
missed out on.
I live out near Glastonbury way, and I gigged this to death to
Good.
the point of it started getting to the point where, should we say, the change of public and their total disrespect for instruments. So I sort of downgraded a little while and used these words behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah,
all good.
that middle one is the one with the Retro East in it, and that is just transformed that into a
Lovely
good
circuit.
working instrument. Yeah.
That's it.
Nice.
Flexibility, it's tonal flexibility. You've got a palette to pick from with John's circuits.
Yeah, it's
Works every
such a-
time.
Yeah, transform that into a working guitar rather than a bit of a thudder. But
Something that was sitting at home.
this thing's like playing a Rolls Royce, and if you've ever owned a Rolls Royce, you'll know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gareth Harrison is asking, what are the basses in the background?
Right, they're all Ibanez.
Yep.
There's a pretty rare one. The little one on the left there's got the TK pickup in it, Music Man style, but it's run with a Luthite body. It's a
The triple coil.
710C, I think.
Is that the Ergodyne?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the Ergodyne Luthite. It's very. I wanted a 5-string version, but I can't find one for love nor money. And it's
Very
I wanted on the-
futuristic looking.
It was very light. Lovely to play.
Percy Jones liked those.
Yeah, good bass. Good, really good instrument. This one is a good work. It's basically Seymour Duncan's in there. The jazz bass, for want of a better word. But the neck profiles work with my quite diminutive hands, and then virtually this is where I think everybody's seen these, the fan fret fibers.
Yeah.
Real workhorse, great tone range.
Yeah.
Thumps along in the background. That one.
You can't go wrong with. I was saying this the other day, and actually I did an impromptu live chat yesterday where I had where's the bass? Oh, for God's sake, it's there. The semi-acoustic one. I've never played an Ibanez that I didn't like.
No,
I've never come across an Ibanez bass, even going back in 70s and 80s models. Never picked one up that I thought, oh God, I hate this. They're just
Neither is
great.
Dave Swift.
No,
Dave Swift
quite.
agrees.
I think Dave Swift lives in an Ibanez bass. I tell you,
He might.
Yeah.
down Charlton way.
But they're good working instruments, and
Yes.
Yeah.
between the three basses, they've got different voices and
Yep.
now different jobs, you know. So
That's good.
good.
Good. No, you've got a nice little
Perfect.
collection there. Jeffrey Boyle, good to see you. Michael Anthony, Albriano, howdy neighbour, Central Louisiana here. Jeffrey Boyle, you were on Phillips Phil DeHove, of course, earlier today. Exactly. Phil Plays Bass, great YouTube channel. All saying hello to each other. It's all good. So Jamie, status bases.
Yes.
What was the first?
Status.
What's the first status you got or had?
Streamline.
Experience of?
Streamline
Really?
5. Streamline
really?
5.
You didn't
Yep,
ever
I was-
have like a 2000 or a Series 2 or?
So I was able to use a Series 2. Now you're going to have to help me remember this. It had the GMX pickups. in it.
GMT pickups.
right?
Green
GMT.
Machine
Thank you. Right.
technology.
Thank you. Yeah. So this first Series 2 that I tried had GMTs in it, and it had a low serial number. The neck was very thick. Very
Yep,
thick.
and those pickups and that circuit was very middly. It
Right.
had the bass and treble, but there's no mid EQ. But the actual response was quite throaty.
Oh yeah.
It was almost like if you had a Series 2000, which should have been relatively graphite bass, it might have had a wooden core or not. But if it had the GMT pickups and the circuit from that period, that was why it didn't need a mid EQ, because it was just really lively and bouncy. It was almost like it had a bolt-on neck, not a through neck.
Sure, yeah, but that was the experience I had. When the Streamline, it was so funny because the Streamline, I thought, okay, I can fly this, I can throw it up in the bag and toss it up in the plane and do all that, and it had that kind of sound that I could get from the Series 2 with the GMTs in it. But I had a very hard time doing all the stuff I do, trying to get something really that I could use consistently without having to twiddle all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that, because we were speaking about for a few minutes ago about the room and where you're going and if you want to have the stage rumbling and all that sort of thing. And I was perpetually just twiddling knobs and trying to get something dialed in to where it would work with what I was doing. So it didn't last long. Needless to say, it didn't last long. So, I kind of went back.
For some reason, I thought you'd had more experience with statuses. I wondered if maybe you'd had like a 2000 or a Series 2 going way back. Clearly not.
No, it's in some ways, depending on where you are on this side of the pond, they can be hen's teeth also.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really want to try something, you've got to go digging. And I don't know that many folks here who, there's a handful of people I think that got excited. And then, of course, with Mooz, they had kind of the body shape revival and all that sort of thing. But there's not a lot of people that I know that actually have them or have had them. There is a guy, he's in Chicago somewhere. His name is Enzo, and you may remember him from the digests.
Yes.
He was a he was a big JD head because he gave me, I think, 2 or 3 of them over the time.
Right.
And Series 1 JD and all that sort of thing. But he was on the hunt for that, whatever tone he was hearing in his head. And he had a Series 2, I believe it was. And then he came up with an Alembic, and he was done. That's the last I heard of him. So he went backwards from the king. He went JD first, status, and then Alembic. Whereas, Mark had the JD and the status together mixed in about, you know what I mean?
I know.
Yeah.
Yep. So he kind of did that. And then when he got to the Alembic, I think he stopped appearing all of a sudden and he disappeared into Pizza World. So
he was very happy with what he got.
Yep. He did. He was.
So, was it a
Say again?
Spitfire?
Yeah, he had GBs. So the GBs came along. So one man came out and he'd used Fender and Music Man to record one man. And so Fender were very happy to do him a signature model, which was the 42 Jazz Deluxe ones that smell like Play-Doh. And he took that out on tour
and fell apart.
I think it basically whacked the hell out of it, and there'd probably never been a Fender bass that had quite that treatment before. And obviously, Mark very good friends with Boone. Bernie Goodfellow was very good friends with Boone, and I think Boone had spoken to Mark, and obviously Bernie had gone, get him to use one of my basses. So there was some sort of agreement. They played at Fairfield Halls in Croydon in January 1999. I was there that night, funnily enough. And Bernie had gone down to sound check with the Daphne Blue bass, but he needed a second bass because he was on tour. So they had to borrow. There was a feature in Bassist magazine on the guy that had the bass that went to Mark as the backup bass until the second bass was ready. And that was the point that he took on the GBs. And then that carried on until October, November 2000. He'd moved on to the Rumors, but just couldn't have two basses that were consistently the same. And it was a little bit of a falling out. I heard a rumor that one or two frets loosened and sort of edged out. And then there was the situation about payment for the basses, and Bernie needed to be paid. And Mark wanted the basses for free, and they couldn't come to an agreement. So Bernie said, fine, just give me the basses back and we'll call it quits. And that was the end of that.
That's the last
Potted
thing you
history.
need, yeah, you know.
Potted history.
Halfway through Mr. Pink and you get a loose fret.
Well, again, it's like I'm not sure any of Bernie's basses had quite ever had the thwacking that Mr. King was giving them, and I don't know. I mean, I've heard that side, his side of the story. I've heard someone else's side of the story. I haven't had the third side. There's three elements to this, so it is what
Two
it is.
sides and the truth. Yes.
Unfortunately, guys, bit late on.
1, 2, 3.
Get up and work.
You got to go to bed.
No problem.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance. Thank you for coming.
Maybe I'll pop on another time and a bit earlier, right?
No worries.
Right,
anytime. Every Tuesday from 8. Okay.
I'll be lucky, boys. Take care.
Take care. Have a good week.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, man. We got some messages here. Mick Quinn loves Ibanez basses, says Gareth. Yes, he does. And I thought they did a blinder of a set at Isle of Wight on Saturday. It was shown on Sunday. I think you watch it on Catch Up. Supergrass were fab. And they're on at Glastonbury from midday until 1 o'clock. And they're going to be shown live on BBC iPlayer on Friday. So I would imagine, Jamie, you have no idea who Supergrass are.
Oh, no, I know who Supergrass is.
Oh, good man. There we are. So I used to think they were fabulous, and they were fabulous. And I saw them in 99 after their third album at Town and Country Club. The show was amazing. I was like sold, hook, line and sinker. Me and my partner went to 4 or 5 gigs then between 2000 and 2004, and they'd lost all their spark. It was like a bunch of blokes on stage who didn't want to be there, really couldn't have given a shit, really just like lazy playing. And after the 4th or 5th time, I said to my mother, I'm not paying to come and see him again. This is like really lackluster. Like they just do not want to be there. And
well, they came across.
Yeah, they reformed just after COVID, and they did the 2022 Glastonbury, and I saw it on telly. I thought, cool, they've got their spark back. And she went to see them a couple of weeks ago, and they were amazing. And then this performance on Sunday at Isle of Wight, I sat and watched it while it was on telly. I was like, they are rather good. They've got back to what they were. So what happened between 1999 and 2001, between one tour and another, I couldn't tell you. But we saw them in Aylesbury. We saw them at Shepherd's Bush. We saw them at Wembley Arena. A whole bunch of different places around London. And after that Town and Country Club show, which was for the third album, for the 4th, 5th, 6th and Greatest Hits tours, they were just rubbish. Just like they just did not want to be there. And I was like, I've paid 25, 30 quid to come and watch this. And it's like they just don't really... It's like there was no talk to the audience, no chat, nothing. Yet when we'd seen them at Town and Country Club, amazing. They had the crowd in the palm of their hand. Weird. Like 2 different bands. Nuts.
They could have been tired from touring. They could have been on a non-stop kind of thing. Maybe
maybe record company on their
Could have
back
been
saying we
falling
want
out.
more singles. Exactly.
could be that. Could be that. I mean,
we
because
want more singles. We want more stuff like the first album, and it's like
right.
Songwriting has progressed from that point. We're not 18-year-old kids out of school anymore. We're grown men with
Right.
mortgages and families and kids and Albriano, Ibanez, wonderful basses. Yes, they are. I think we can all agree that an Ibanez is essential to every collection. Yeah, I'd go with that. In mine is an SR 1604 with Aguilars. Remove the crummy preamp. Okay. Replaced with an Audaire preamp.
Audaire, oh,
Now,
nice.
Audaire are very bespoke, but my experience with Audaires in reviewing basses for Bass Guitar Magazine and Bass Player, never had a good experience with one, because they were always put into top-end basses with 100 different woods and loads of hyper-spec pickups and tone and this and bright and punch and and too much going on. And every time I came across an Audaire preamp, it was just overkill for the instrument. But each to their own. What do I know?
Yep. Carry on.
Gareth Harrison. Saw Gaz Coombs last year on his solo tour. I think my other half went. Can't remember. And he didn't play any Supergrass material. Well. Really? Maybe they had a tour coming up, and so he didn't want to flood the market. Maybe. I don't know.
Or they had a natter and it was trouble.
Unless, well, I'm sure he owns the. I'm sure he wrote the songs. I don't know how much the other two contribute to the songwriting. So unless it was a copyright thing, I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows?
Yes,
so,
indeed.
Right, we've done the status thing, done the Wal, did the Alembic thing. So Wal's.
Can I just actually demo?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
So I can actually put it down.
Yeah. No, it's like it's punishment. You got to sit there with it on the whole night.
See, it's actually dragging me down into an actual, you know,
an abyss.
Gravity well. That bloody hell.
These things happen. So you want to go Wal now, is it?
After he's done his demo, yeah.
After he's done demoing, go on.
Give it a mid-range boost.
All of it?
Yeah.
Okay. You asked for this.
He did.
And then the cut. And then the flat, back to normal.
That's nice. Nice sound.
There you go.
Very nice.
Mm.
Very good, young man. You should become a demo player.
Mm. You never know.
Sorry, just bear me a moment. 2 seconds.
Jamie's just disappeared briefly.
He's got to go and put 10p in the meter like he did last week.
Oh, of course, yeah. Oh, all right.
Bear me 2 seconds. Here we go. That was great. Very different sound to humbucker equipped King bass.
It is, yes.
Those jazzes are great.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I think if Rob, he isn't going to, but theoretically, if he started producing instruments, graphite stuff, I'd have single cores in them next time.
Yeah. I would.
Because the T bass single cores are just
absolutely
off the chart.
I always liked John's red single coil charger.
Talking John Edwards.
Yeah.
Rhino. Yeah.
That thing absolutely belts it out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
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 So, yeah. Yeah.
Very good. Well, that's why he probably had those in for Quo to cut across the blitzkrieg of Telecasters.
Guitar noise, the wall of noise sort of thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. Although weird that when he joined them and started using Status, he had humbucker equipped.
He had
2000s.
Series 2 originally and then
a 2000.
2000s. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then before you know it, he's on to single coiled ones.
I'm trying to remember what the original red one was in the late 80s, early 90s.
I'm sure if you go hunting on YouTube.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was either an S2 or a 2000, probably. Yeah. So he's back. Hello.
He is.
I'm out and about in the fishbowl-sized shiny metal box.
Shiny metal box,
Excellent.
indeed.
We're lemmings in shiny metal boxes.
Apparently so. Bill Clements, good to see you. Bill's
Cheerio,
on.
Billy.
Gareth saying Gaz Coombs, apparently he's known for it on his solo gigs that he doesn't play any supergrass. Crazy behaviour. But there we go. If it keeps the fans happy, got to please those people.
They're paying your bills.
That's it. So yes, talk to us about Wal Basses.
Yes.
The ones you've had.
Educate us.
Oh, yes. Okay. The first one I purchased was my favorite of the lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 1984 Wenge top and back. Okay. Was very, very well played. I got it for $8.99.
That's not bad.
Which was dashing in those days.
Yeah.
So when it came to me, it had really been played well. There was a dig out from somebody, doing all this. They also removed the frets and left it. So I had it refretted by a guy here local who does a smashing job. And the facings were actually coming off. It had been played that hard.
Christ.
It had been. I was trying to set if they were using it as an oar in a boat.
Yeah.
So, paddle That's along. Mental. Yeah, but the thing is, it was, even though it had all of that going on, it was stunning. And it sounded like none of the other ones, because the other ones I had were quite nice. I mean, a lot of them looked like they had just come out of the shop. And, I purchased them secondhand, of course, but they looked like they just come out of the shop. And they didn't hold a candle to this 84. Not once. And the only other bit that I had trouble with was one of the capacitors on one of the circuit boards decided to dry out. And so...
And when was this? What year was this?
This was 2000, I believe.
So it's not even 20 years old at that point.
No, I mean, again, it'd been well used. Somebody had been slapping along and doing all that. But I mean, it was a cracking bass compared to the other ones. I mean, the ones I had one of the white poly finish ones, and they called it the White Whale because I didn't give it the nickname, but the headstock had turned yellow, but the rest of the body had not. And I got it from a guy. I got it from a guy in California back then. Really. The first one was the one that sealed it for me. If I had the opportunity right now to jump in and say, I'll have that, I would want that one back. I don't think I'd pick any other one just because it was what it was.
Isn't that a thing with Wal, Alembic, some JDs, some states, that you could have 100 in a room and none of them are going to be the same.
At all. None of these were even close. Oh, the necks were different.
Essentially, the electronics packages in Wals back then, that was the package. The only thing that changed with the timbers, and then eventually the body styling and headstock styling when they moved to Mark II, Mark III. But the package should have been the same, capable of the same thing. But
well, aside from the Pro Bass, because the Pro Bass was an ash body with the hornbeam neck and a rosewood fingerboard, with a single pickup in the middle position, not the later one that had the back only. It was the one in the middle on the big plastic scratch plate.
Yeah,
that one sounded just like a P bass. For all intents and purposes, it was a very nice ash-bodied P bass.
Yeah.
And it had its thing too, because I could take the neck and go, and the truss rod would move, you know, and it was killer. But the first one was the best one, and the rest of them just, you're right. The electrics were all the same. The construction was all the same because I had Mark I's the entire time except for the Pro Bass. And there was nothing to it changing wise, but they were all different. And, you know, I mean, so the Alembics are exactly the same. There's no two the same. There's no two JDs the same. Tell me about that one. I've had 20 of them. I've had more than Mr. Mark King himself. So they're all different. They all do the same thing, but in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of like
it's very hard. See, a lot of people don't understand this, but until you've got like a bunch of them together, and it's very hard to do this now because there's so few retailers where you can go and do this. And this, as I said it before, I'll say it again. This was the joy of the Bass Center, because back in the days of the Bass Center, when a manufacturer, for example, Warwick, came out and suddenly was starting to build their way into the market, they only had 3 models. So it was the Thumb, Streamer 1, Streamer 2. That was it.
Right.
You walked into the Bass Center, there was the Warwick corner, and they literally had those 3 models and every possible color and timber permutation that Warwick had available at that time. And you could sit there, you could go in there any day of the week apart from Sunday, and you could sit there, plug yourself into an amp in the corner, and just literally work your way through all of them until you found the one you wanted. But that wasn't just Warwick. That was Wal. As many Wals as they could get into the bass. They sold 11 Wals in a week. 1 week.
11?
Yep.
11.
Wow.
Barry couldn't believe it. He took everyone out for dinner. He said and that was just Wals. That wasn't taking into account Alembic, Status, Arias, JD, Kabikis, Ken Smiths, everything, Fenders. They always had loads of Fenders in as well.
Of course.
But 11 Wals. Wal couldn't keep up. They couldn't make them quick enough. The Bass Center, I think, at one point probably had a back order of like 25. Where people were placing orders through them, and then they'd send the spec sheets over, and Wal would, we'll get on with it then. And it was nuts. But we used to have that sort of store. You know, if Arias suddenly say, well, we're doing this run of the Rudy Sarzo SBs, SB Elites, they would probably have a couple in different colors. There'd be a fretless, couple of fretted, and you could try them all out, and you'd find the one that worked for you. But that doesn't exist anymore, and so much is bought online unseen. That this is why you have social media and bass forums full of people slagging bass brands off, because they have not had the physical experience of being able to test a load. Wind the clock back 23 years. I had 5 Series 2000s lined up in my lounge because I couldn't test them against each other when I was going out to buy them. It was like, well, if I buy them all, I'm going to be able to sell them anyway because it's a very active market. So I bought 5, kept the one that was the best, and sold the rest.
Right. Well, think about the story I've told you from time to time about having so many Rickenbackers.
Yeah.
I mean, because I bought most of them secondhand. They were all used. With I think 3 as an exception, I purchased new, but I wouldn't do that now, but because they're different. But at the time, I had enough of them lined up in the room. I'll see if I can find the photos. I've got photos of when I was in college, and I had 15 of them lined up across the floor in the room.
Nice.
Yeah, indeed. You know, I mean, it's just, but I knew each one, what I was going to connect, what I was going to grab. I knew exactly what was going to happen to it, what it sounded like, because I had so many, and I knew which ones were better than the others.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said previously, I had to go through 10 to find a good one. I had to go through literally 10 of them, shift about a bunch of basses and get them all to where I could line them up, play up, nope, yep, nope, yep, nope, nope. And the ones I didn't like, off they went.
That's it.
Same idea. Same idea.
Yeah. Hard. You know, used to be easier like that. Here in the UK, I mean, we're not a big country, you know, it's not a big island. But you had those stores that you could do that. A bit different in the US because you've got the big conglomerate sales stores and they would get 10 of every model as it came out from each of the companies. Over here, you know, bass is such a niche market. It's a small segment of the musical instrument market, but those places gave it a chance to sort of bloom and blossom.
That's why we got to have curry in September.
No, it's exactly the same principle, isn't it? It's but you know, you're trying to buy something that's actually quite expensive, but to get that choice right is very, very difficult. We had Mark Palmer on last week talking about Alembics and stuff, and I think he came on one of my impromptu live chats, and we were talking about the Alembics he had, and then couldn't get on with it, so sold it to someone else, and it turned out things weren't working, so it went back to the mothership. It turns out it's now with Marcus Bell.
Imagine that.
Bass that originally Mark Palmer, no, he bought it from someone. Mark didn't spec the bass. Someone else spec'd it, didn't get on with it. Mark bought it off them. He sold it to Mark Littler. Mark Littler couldn't get on with it, and there were issues. It went back to the mothership, and eventually, through the tangled web of bass players who love Mark King, it ended up with another guy, and so that was that.
So it either has to be a Mark or a Marcus bass, right?
Of course. Well, quite.
We missed. But, you know, in other words, what you're telling me is it missed the mark 4 times. Got it.
Yeah, but very good. Da-dum, he's here all week. Da-dush. But now, with the way that Alembics are priced, you couldn't take a punt on something like that unless you're really frivolous with money. You couldn't just drop down $7.5 grand on an and hope that it's the bass you hope it is. Same with the wall. You've got to know what you're buying and what you're in for. And it's a very flippant person that will go to the gallery or whatever and drop 10 grand on a wall, and then a month later come and trade it back in because it's not the bass they thought it was. I couldn't do that. Some people
you got to remember
able to do it, but I certainly couldn't.
You got to remember as well that this is something else we spoke about one time, the mystique of certain instruments. You know, that little kind of ethereal thing that, you know, it's got they're all sitting there like this going and it
no, that's the tuning fork.
Oh yeah, that's when you hit your head with it. Right.
It, yeah.
Right.
Clang.
So I mean, you know, that's something that I've run across quite a bit on this side is, you know, you've got so the translated version of bass chat is talk bass, right? Within reason, you know. Talk bass has the flavors of the week, the flavors of the month, and whatever is the new, latest, greatest, what have you, something. Everybody goes out and purchases, and then, you know, 3 months later, they're all sitting on there for sale. Same bunch of kit that you purchased 3 months prior. So, you know, if someone's going to be frivolous, as you say, and they're going to throw 10 grand or 8 grand on something and then bring it back 30 days later, no, thanks. You know, I've only taken a chance. I've only taken a chance on a few basses, honestly. Over all the bits that I've had, I've taken a chance on a few. And ironically, the first JD was a chance.
Right.
That was kind of funny. It was kind of funny the way that worked out, obviously. But, you know, I've usually been able to sit down somewhere and at least play. There's a shop right here. Actually, there's a number of them right here, but one specifically is the Low End. Right? Okay. The Low End is, I could be at the Low End shop in about 30 minutes. And he's got all of his own branded stuff, but he's also got odds and ends of everything. He's got, I think, 2 or 3 walls, 5 or 6 Alembics, couple of Ricks, bunch of Fenders, bunch of vintage things, He's got a whole wall full of amplifiers. He's got a bunch of trace stuff in there, which I've been messing with him about anyway. And, all this sort of thing. So he's really the only one that I know of within the local area. So when you're speaking about Bass Central, and the Bass Center, Bass Center, how it was, we have some things like that, but they're not to that extent.
No,
they're not to the level where you have, every color and every adventure bit of Warwick and the 3 models. You had 350 fenders sitting there and all this kind of thing. And the quantity and size has diminished. There are still some places where you can go check things out. And of course you can buy online and ship and do all that stuff. I still believe it's way more fun to go have a seat, plug in an amp, and let's go.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was just thinking while you were saying that the funny thing back in the glory days of the Bass Center, and you got to remember they were going for like 25, 26 years.
Yeah,
was that I say you could go in and they would have every permutation of a brand, their basses, the colors, the finishes, the woods, and all that. The turnover of instruments was so high that you could go in there one day and 3 days later go back in, and most of the stuff that was in there on the first visit had already gone and been sold. Stuff did not ever hang around in there very, very long. Occasionally there was a bass that might sit there for a couple of months. But it was almost like, and I say this about dogs and pets because we've got the rehoming centre down the road. Sure. All it needs is the right owner for that dog or cat or rabbit to turn up and they're out of it. It was exactly the same with the basses in that place. It just needed the right player that was looking for that bass in that finish with that combination of pickups, hardware, blah, 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 blah. At the right price. Right. You'll find the buyer. And I think actually one of the basses that stuck around there the longest and obviously clearly didn't sell for a very long time was the bass that was up for sale a while back, which was an old Status Empathy that had been sprayed for TM Stevens with a load of fancy graphics.
Oh, yes.
That was at the Bass Center for years.
Interesting.
And it then went, at some point, Mark Gooday bought it. So that was the point about 5 or 6 years ago when it then came back into the market because Ashdown sold it. And it then started doing the rounds and ended up, I think, with Scott Wheeler. It was at Bass Direct for a while, I think. Marcus probably had it, I think. And he was doing the rounds. No, but it's true. Because empathies were in short supply. So because it was an empathy, but because of the graphic on it, it was hard to sell. People just
I'd be all over that.
But the daft thing was Ashdown was selling it not very expensive. It was like 900 quid. And I looked at it and I thought, do I want it? And it was like, well, I've got the red one. I'm very happy with that. So I don't know where it is. Last known thing that I knew of was Scott Wheeler had it and he was trying to shift it on. I don't know where it is now, though.
Scott Wheeler. Yeah, I know Scott Wheeler.
Yeah, it's friend of Stuart Zenders.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a load of messages here. I did sort of flick them up onto the screen. Russell Zorner, good to see you. Zoomer's Music, good to see you too. Kev Seabase, 1984. I made an appointment and went to West Wickham. Hi, Wickham. I had cash and a choice of about 7 walls. 3 of them you couldn't have because they were builds for John Illsley, Dire Straits. Lee John. It wouldn't have been Lee John. It would have been the bass player who I think was called Errol. In Imagination. In fact, let's just get the information right here. So Imagination Band, 1980s. Lee John was the front man. I can't imagine he could play bass. To be fair, Errol Kennedy was the drummer. Ashley Ingram was the bass player. He used to play it higher up than Mark King played it. It was literally under his chin. And he just frimic the strings in that sort of style, which isn't really playing, it's just frimicking. But anyway.
I say you can lick the strings for that.
Well, that's true. And Frankie's bass player, which would have been Mark, what's his name? Not Mark Taylor. Mark O'Toole. I think. Yes.
Which Frankie? Which Frankie?
Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Oh, right. Okay. Of course, he was a Stingray. He was a Stingray guy for a while.
And a Precision guy. He had a black and gold one like Mark O'Toole. Yes, it was. There we
There
are.
you go.
Okay, I thought it was.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah, so there we go. That's that story. Bill Clements on older, we're talking about mid-frequency parametric stuff. On older PV amps, there was a parametric pot labeled shift, and by slowly cycling through whilst playing, one could learn what frequencies cut through the mix. Exactly.
There you go.
Kev, you narrowed the wall choices down to 2 American walnuts and went through their Jonas Hellborg rotor sound amp. Remember it like yesterday, made by Pete. Yeah, Pete the Fish.
Beat the fish.
Here we go. And Bill Clements saying, hey, Jay.
Cheerio, Billy.
Oh, no, he's not going anyway. He's saying hello.
Oh, yes, of course.
There we go.
Howdy.
It's bang on
Okay.
11 o'clock here in London town. We can carry on for another 10, 15 minutes if people want to chat. It's
Right, by
quite insightful.
Last week, Mike, you were talking about this would be the last one for a period. Are you taking a break or something?
No. I think what I probably
okay.
said was this might be. I've got to do some experiments next week. The last one we're going to do in a horizontal visual.
I see.
So the idea is I found out
Different format.
for my chat for this channel at the moment, vertical live streams, which is what I basically about a year and a half ago, YouTube wanted all live streams to be vertical so that the algorithm could cut sections out of your video and present it into the shorts format without you even knowing. So when you do a search for something, if there was a chunk of this video today that we're talking about Wals or Alembics or JDs or Status, if someone went into Google and said, what does an Alembic sound like? It could use its AI to pick out a chunk of our live chat to do it. Okay, so last week, having done a few impromptu live chats in a vertical live stream feed recently, and the figures have been off the charts, like 2,500 views for a half-hour live chat, which I don't even get close to when we're in horizontal format. So I tried to set last week's live chat via StreamYard in vertical format. What I didn't know was, even though I changed that setting in the software, I've got to change all the settings in the camera. Right, and it would mean I can't have the camera on my desk. I'd have to have it on a tripod on the floor, like here to my side rather than here in front of the monitor. So there's a whole load of technical stuff I've got to change before that becomes a thing. Now, also, when I did a test without the camera on, basically all we would see at the moment is your middle panel on the screen. We wouldn't get either side. And if I have 3 of us on chat, basically I take up 2/3 of the central panel, and you two are literally on very small little visual dots on the bottom of the screen. Well, anyone watching on their mobile might not see that. And so I went into analytics to work out which platforms people were watching the most on. Generally on the live stream that we're doing now, people will watch on their phone or their TV.
Right. Yeah.
So I have to weigh up. If someone's watching on their TV and we only fill 1/3 of the screen, that's not particularly visually enticing. But the amount of views I will get, because it will be shunted into the shorts feed and the visual live stream feed, could suddenly could send literally my channel into stratosphere. So I've got to weigh up what I'm going to do. So what I might only do is for the next month, so through July, test that and see. And if the figures don't add up, then we just go back to horizontal. But I need to see. I mean, I might get a load of feedback from people that watch this and go, I can't watch 1/3 of the screen. It's too painful on the eyes. You know, you're literally concentrating on that as opposed to that, which, of course, we all look lovely and gorgeous when we're on landscape. But once you start to go into portrait mode, it's a bit different. So it's just going to be a little experiment. I could do it next week. It doesn't work. We go back to how we are now. But until we do it, I don't know how it's all going to look. So I'm going to do a little test run.
Okay.
Maybe Sunday or Monday. I might just get one of us on and we can just do a dummy run, and I'll put it to private so only I see it, and just see what the... again, YouTube doesn't tell you any of this stuff. It doesn't give you a guide on how to do it. I got a message through on my studio going, your live chat, when you do it vertically, suddenly racked up 2,500 views in half an hour. And it's like, yeah, it's not bad, that. I'll have that.
Right.
But then I thought, well, because again, if we go back, if we don't use StreamYard, we can't do this. We can't have live feeds with everyone else. and I can't do graphics. I can't share the script. I can't do any of that. So it was like, well, do I want to lose that element? No. So I've got to work out how StreamYard is going to present that, pushing it back into Facebook. And it sounds complicated. I'm sure it's not. I've just got to go through the process of seeing what you have to set up to make it work. So
there you go.
Okay. Question answered.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a bit like, Christ, because you're thinking how the thing looks on the screen, and in your head it's like, oh, well, that'll look great on a phone, but someone that's watching it on a 55-inch widescreen TV, it's going to look bloody horrible.
Yeah, but think how, of course, pink beards will go, wow.
Yeah, but they'll only see one little bit of it in the middle of the screen at the bottom.
Yeah.
The rest
be
of it
like
will
this.
That's it. It's like it's literally will look like we got in a compression machine.
Yeah.
And that's what it'll be. But it's
Look, we could do the Beatles record. We could do the Beatles record.
But if it suddenly does generate that amount of view, and suddenly I look in the analytics, and it's just gone, and then what I want is my long form videos, the regular horizontal videos, to do really well, but they're just stalling at the moment, which is why I've not put out any long form content, because the last bunch haven't done more than about 350 views max.
Right, okay.
I put a short up, it's thousands of views. I do a vertical live stream feed, I'm getting thousands of views. So clear, but that doesn't mean that works for every channel. Jay could do it, and it might not even touch the sides. He might do a long form video, it suddenly goes off the charts. Everyone's channel and progress is different. Also, the fact that I'm coming up on a 5-year anniversary, the longer you're on YouTube, the more your stuff starts getting pumped out. And this is all you're trying to. It's almost like plate spinning constantly.
Yeah.
You're like, right, I've got a carrot, and so it's hard as a one-man op trying to do all three formats. It's a tricky thing. But at the moment, going on the analytics on a daily basis, it's shorts and vertical live streams, and this live chat is growing. Every Tuesday night, it's the repetition. Tuesday at 8 o'clock, algorithm goes, it's doing the live chat tonight, right? We're pushing it out. Because if I go and look at the analytics now for this at the moment, we are on 129 views. Well, up until a couple of months ago, on a regular night, we would barely scrape 100. But a couple of the videos would then suddenly rack up loads of extra views once we complete.
Yep.
So it's
think of it like being on the telly.
What's working? What isn't working? You don't know.
Yep.
Yes.
Think of it like being on the telly. Being on the telly, because if you had a TV show that everybody loved, people start talking about the TV show, and suddenly everybody's on the telly watching it.
If you looked at my analytics, the amount of people, so you've got 4 formats. You've got mobile. Sorry, we've gone off base chat, but some people might find this interesting.
Mobile chat.
So you've got mobile, you've got desktop, tablet, and TV. And the biggest growing of those lot is TV, because basically YouTube at the moment is replacing Netflix and streaming services as the most watched media platform. So people, so like when I've done, like I did the Bass String Experiment Roundup, which was all 73 shows in one video. That's a 2-hour watch. But people would be more inclined to watch that on a TV than watch it on their phone, because it'd be just like, I can't. Whereas they might binge watch it on their sofa, eating their dinner, and they'd be more inclined to watch that. So now every piece of content you make, you have to think, am I aiming on a particular device type, or am I going for a particular viewer type? Am I doing a 5-minute video because the people don't have any attention span, or am I doing a 12-minute video so that I can put in long form ads, or am I going for a half an hour or an hour? I mean, back in 2 years ago, these live chats were 5 hours. We did a couple. We started at 8 o'clock, finished at 1:30 in the morning.
Oh God!
Oh yes,
it was like a war of attrition, last man standing. But the algorithm loved it, and that's what created the snowball effect for these live chats, because I could see week by week it was going up and up and up and up and up, and then we kind of hit a plateau, and it was like then we had a break for a couple of months, and then came back that summer, 2023. We didn't do any live chats. We literally did one at the end of each month, May, June, July, August, and we came back in the September. But I had to build it back up because back then it seemed that if you tried to do any videos during the summer months, people just didn't watch. They're off out in the garden or on holiday or out with the kids. So it was a bit, but this year I'm not finding that. When we're doing live chats on Tuesdays, we have lovely community who come in every week. So it's great.
Yep.
A couple of messages there. Albriano, take care, gents. Thanks, Al. Thank you, Brooksy, for the bass chat. Us bass players need more of these anytime. I'm doing more and more.
Let's go.
Impromptu. So if you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, you'll get a notification every time I'm broadcasting. So it's all good. Gareth Harrison, have you come across a video platform called Mooz? No, I haven't. It's a Zoom alternative which claims to have got rid of latency issues for musicians, although I'm skeptical. Tell you what, we'll have a little... Oh, go on.
Yes.
What do you know?
Mooz has been utilized. Some of the musicians and producers I know are using Mooz because you can hide certain bits. So if you wanted to learn a song, for example, you could take out the bass. You could take away the vocals. You could do those kinds of things. You could slow them down so you can listen to it. You can do all that sort of lot with it.
Right.
Now, there may be another application for it. But that's the one I'm familiar with. Go ahead, man.
But could, of course, us three today play an actual trio piece, yeah? All right, together without the lag.
Supposedly, that's what it's. Yeah, we just may have to experiment when we do our other little bit there, Squire. We may have to try that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, especially once you put the grub screws in that one bass.
Hey? Grub screws in that one bass? What are you talking about?
Right. The little screws that have to go in the tailpiece that hold the strings up on that one bass that you don't use much.
Oh, that. Yeah. Sorry. When you say grub screw, the only bass I ever refer to with grub screws are statuses. Not JD.
I know, but you said that about the other one. So
that's a saddle screw.
Saddle screws, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do that. We can do that.
That might be something. Of course, now, coming in September, we might have to do that live.
Well, I'm thinking, now that you've got an extra day and a bit in your schedule, that we could film the first bunch of podcast together, rather than doing it like via me here and you there, and we compose it, and we could actually film the first 10 live if you can fit that in. But again,
I think I can make that work.
Speak to you off the live chat and see what your schedule is, because only you know what you've got to fit in.
Well, yeah, because we've got to have JD's and Curry's, so yeah.
Well, the thing is, we can film 10 episodes within about 4 or 5 hours if we've got it scripted out before you arrive.
Right.
If we know what we're going to be talking about, we can do that. Because anything that goes awry or wrong, we can always refilm that little segment once you've gone back, and we'll do it as a Zoom thing. But yeah, possible. Possible.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, that answers the Mooz question.
Right. Well, there we go then. So yeah, we'll it's all feasible and possible.
Right.
We'll report back, Gareth. Yeah.
And of course, now it's currently almost 11:15 in London. It's tea time.
It is. It's bedtime shortly. I know that much.
It is.
I don't know. I was kind of thinking muffin with frosting, but I don't know.
I don't. No. You can't. I'm at that age where you can't have it all the time.
Yeah.
Rich, we're gonna have to get him, with his muffins.
Well, also in how many weeks is it? Hold on. Here's the diary. Here we go. So we are on. Oh my God.
June 23rd today
is
24th, somewhere around there.
24th. Yep.
Yeah.
So in hang on. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In 5 weeks' time, it will be the 5th anniversary. So that will be more wine, more cake, of course.
Oh, so, yeah, everything's got
can't have cake every week because I'd be as big as a house. But
it's all jubbly. It's all jubbly.
So it'll be cake in 5 weeks. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Good. And then there's nothing for a long time after that. Right, okay.
Till
Let's
September.
just see. Anyone else got any questions, any comments? We'll give it another 5 minutes and then we'll wrap this up. Anyone
Questions,
got any
comments,
you've
crippling
got the
fears.
three wise kings here, three wise men.
Well, yeah. Three
If anyone's
three
anything, well, no,
stooges.
we're clever. We're all right.
We are.
So-
if anyone out there has any bass questions, let's have them.
Let's have them right. You know that
Ask away.
Bass Brothers had that certain little pink monster with the white tuners
Yes,
on it that
3.5.
shifted quite quickly.
I bet it did.
Of course, we knew where that came from, and we know who had it.
Hmm.
'Cause
Mate,
I was
it's
along
sold
for the
already.
ride.
Are we talking here?
Sure.
It's sold already. They said that they Will posted pictures and said, I don't usually post them when they're sold, but this one went as quick as it came through the door.
It must have been yesterday that I had a look on there. It was on there yesterday.
It's gone, he said, unless
okay.
somebody stepped back and said no. But
Maybe
we
it's still
we
there,
know
mate.
who owns that one.
Still
Is
there.
it?
Well, if it's not there in the morning, then we know it's sold.
Right, because you know what's funny? I noticed that there's a fretless sitting on there that nobody's touched. And I know that fretless is a little more difficult to move along, but there are ways.
By adding frets, yeah.
Hey, add some frets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Painted pink. Yes.
Oh, we talking about a pink bass made by an elusive workshop in Birmingham.
Right.
Very much so.
Oh, you
I
know,
thought so. Okay.
we generally are speaking about the Birmingham crowd. Yes.
Yeah.
The Birmingham lot, yes.
I
okay.
see they've still
Right.
got the medium scale Series 2 Alembic at 14 grand.
Probably-
That body is just bizarre. I can't get my
Yes.
head around that. The electronic's lovely, but the body, I can't get my head around the dimensions of that. It's just. I remember first time I looked at it, I thought, has he photographed that a bit odd? Has he tilted it forward so it doesn't
Nope.
look right? But no, that's actually
Nope.
it, face on.
That's it. That's it. I've seen that one. Yeah. Well, of course, you know, there's the number 2 from the Brum lot, if you like. That is also
Brum
still
lot,
sitting
yes.
there. A Brum lot, yes. That is still sitting there as well, which I'm kind of
Did you
fascinated
send
by.
him a message?
Yeah, but he's taken a moment to respond.
Oh, okay.
So I may hit him up on WhatsApp or what have you.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, I know that one's a few bob as well, but I mean, it's still what it is. So
Yeah,
it is
there
what it is. Yep.
$5 grand.
Lovely bit of wood on that one, though.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's been
I have
through a
not-
few bits of wood, to be fair.
Right. I don't know that I've seen one with the facings like that one. So
No. I remember, oh God, about 20 odd years ago, and Nick was there, and they had their JD get together, and didn't that have quilted maple on the front before?
you're thinking
was
of
one-
number 1.
Okay.
You're
yeah,
thinking
we
of
went
number
through
1. It
various
has the
images.
Omega. It has the Omega cut on the end of it. That's number 1.
Yeah.
That one actually has been. That one's been twisted up so many times. It now has almost like the dummy coil pickup in the middle, like an Alembic, and it's got quilted maple top and back. And I just no, because
Not for
it was
you.
only original. It was only original once. And, you know, everyone along the way says, oh, look, it's an Alembic. No, it's not. Come along, people. It is not. If you want an Alembic, go purchase one. If you want the
Correct.
Omega cut, go buy one. You know, but obviously, whoever did all that, and I think I know his name, but I won't say it on here just for us. He's, let me think, what's a kind way to describe this bloke? I can't think of one. So anyway, he's not a nice fellow, shall we say.
Lovely.
So, yeah, he's not a nice fellow. He's a little bit of a to use an old term, he's a little bit of a twister. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So let's go with that. But
Actually, a topic for another evening is how instruments and cars and houses and everything we actually buy now have actually doubled or, of course, tripled in price.
yes,
Musicians' earnings haven't.
No.
by a very long way.
Yeah. I have mentioned this on live chat before. In that,
yes, you have.
when I turned pro in '95, and I started doing deck gigs for people in '96, and I started doing more and more of the pub and club work. Back then, you generally got £100 per gig for doing pubs and clubs.
Right,
some of them were a little less. Some might be 75, some 85, whatever. But a lot of those gigs were £100 back in the 80s. And some of the bass players who'd been around 10 years, 15 years before I did were doing those gigs for £100 a night. Back then, you might do 5 or 6 nights on the run every single week. Well, £100 back in the 80s went a bloody long way.
Yes,
here we are in 2025, and it's still £100, but there's more and more gigs now that are less.
Yes.
And £100 doesn't go far.
No, not even close. Not even close. So the musicians in the 80s had it really good. So if you were one of the working pros on the cover circuit, certainly here in London, and you were doing 5-6 gigs a week, if not more, and getting £100 a time, that was a nice little tidy sum.
Yeah. Good.
No wonder a lot of them had their mortgages paid off by about the early 90s, because they just went going bang, bang, overpaying, bang, bang. Well, also because the mortgage rates were so high in the 80s, you wanted to get it down as quick as you could, so you weren't paying all that interest. But but yes, you're right. You know, band earnings, muso earnings haven't gone up in that respect, although the way I've kind of done things since leading up to COVID and come out the other side is I don't do a lot of that pub and club work anymore. I've fallen off the radar for a lot of people. Either. There isn't a lot of it about anymore in London. I've been watching on Facebook past week or so, people I know, and they're just not gigging in those sort of places. There's a couple who might pick up the odd gig here, odd gig there, but it's not like you used to have a ton of bread and butter circuit work. But you'd go and do all your private bookings and corporate bookings and weddings and parties and stuff. But you'd always have that bread and butter circuit constantly going. That isn't there anymore.
Yeah, very true.
We still have it, but it's very different.
Yeah,
very.
It's. I don't do it. I mean, there's, and I can't justify it. And I mean, I'm 45 minutes from it. But the catch is, you know, I can't ride the rail. I have to go drive. So where do I park? How much does parking cost? Can you get in and out with all your gear without getting run over or having somebody try to shiv you? So is all that worth it? And then if you get in there and the crowd doesn't like what you're doing, what are you there for? Mm-hmm. So by the time you spend 20 for parking and you go through all the adventures of dipping around down there, is it really worth it? Mm-hmm. I can't justify it. So everything I do, that's why when we talk about things that I'm doing, that's the reason why I'm out traveling and I'm going out to other places.
Yeah.
Because
I am as
touring work, touring work is the way for me to get about, and that's how I do it. You know, so, you know, bread and butter, you know, pub and club. Here it's bar and guitar. So I mean, same idea. But there's people who do it and they do wonders. They'll spend 8 hours, even 12 hours down playing, just constant, take a break. And, you know, I get it. And some people are making just absolutely smashing money on it, but that's not everybody.
No.
And I can't justify it. So
on the bottom line, bass forum, we were doing our gigs. And you see people going, oh, yeah, and I've just done like 5 nights on the bounce, like $40 a night. And I was like, I won't buy you lunch, let alone. No. And I'm grateful for it. It was like, oh, well, you know, this is the way it is over here now. And, you know, most bars are paying that. It's been quite shocking. It's like, I wouldn't be going to do it in the first place. But you want to play, and that's all that's offered in your locale.
Mike, your audio's going a bit wobbly.
I think your microphone had a pint.
Yeah, or 6.
Maybe 6, right.
I don't
There
know.
you go.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yep, you're
Funnily
there.
enough,
You're
I'm
good.
not really hearing it in my headphones. Was
Well,
normally
we
I
can
do.
hear you. We can
Huh.
hear you, but all of a sudden
Hey,
you were out having to go.
bizarre. I think it's something to do with StreamYard. I think that they've
Possibly is,
changed
yeah.
loads of stuff over the past couple of weeks. Every time we come in here, there's something else is different to the way it was before. It is what it is. Right, there's a load of messages here.
I'll tell you what, while you're doing that, while you're doing messages, I need to jump on. So
okay, we may be gone. We may be gone by the time you come back.
Yes.
that's okay. If you do, it's
Nearly
okay.
halfway.
I know because
All right.
it's 98 degrees here and it's adventurous outside.
Excellent. Right. You go.
Lovely.
We'll catch up later. See you next week.
Yes.
Richard,
Good
you're
on, Mike.
with me for a couple of minutes.
Cheers, Rich.
We'll talk in the week.
Cheers all for hanging.
Jamie. Drive
Well
Cheers
done.
up. See you.
carefully. Take
Cheerio.
care.
And you. Gareth Harrison, all you need is a Zempic to contract the cake. Oh, very good. Stuart Milne, a coated string's worth the money. That's your department. I will come back. You can answer that. Did any of you ever go to the Bass Center in Los Angeles? I never did, but I've heard many stories about it. I missed that place, even though I got burned when they closed. I heard a few things went on, actually. Gareth Harrison, pub circuit dead. Most pubs don't have the budget to pay more, hence why most guitarists go solo and can get the same price as a band does, correct? Your main gigs are pub gigs, but I have a 9 to 5, so don't rely on it as much. Understood. Michael Anthony, the really frustrating... Hang on, I need to show that. I'm in the wrong bit there. There we go. Sorry. The really frustrating thing is that the pay for bands musicians hasn't gone up 1 penny or pound in about 40 years. True. It's true.
Very true. Yeah.
Most pub gigs in the UK are either 3:30s or 2:45s or 2 1 hours. We used to do a lot of that.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
I think maybe that's not so required as it used to be. Michael Anthony, at least not your basic cover band club gig. Yeah. Bill Clements there too. Yes, right. Coated strings, and then we'll call it a night.
Coated strings, i.e. elixirs, say. Yeah?
Elixirs or any other brand that does coated. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Brilliant product. Feel great. Sound awesome. Last for a long time. We were actually saying earlier on my jazzers, we do quite a lot of our live shows at Warner's, and the Warner's sets are grueling 2 hours through, no break.
Yeah,
absolutely flat out. And we do about between 35 and 40 a year. And I change my main jazzers strings literally every year. Once. That's it.
That's a fairly ringy endorsement. So yes,
yeah,
probably are worth the money.
Yes, they are.
Your other alternative is
actually, of all places.
Yes.
Amazon often have them at about 40, 41 pounds. Sometimes for a couple of days, they discount them to about sort of 36.
That's when I do my string deals post, and I go very rampantly. They're cheap. Buy. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
The other option, Stuart, is if you like flatwound strings, you could put a set of them on, and you'll probably get the same amount of life, if not more, than coated strings. But if you want round wounds, you're either going to have round wounds. Again, a lot of it depends on your body chemistry. Have you got acid and sweat coming out of your fingers? I'm lucky I don't. So I meet bass players who go, how do you get 30 gigs out of a set of strings? I just do. I'm lucky that way. But I know other people could put a set of strings on and they're dead within 2 gigs. Gone. Literally, they have to go in the bin. They're completely dead. It's whatever your hands are producing. Luck of the draw. But that's a possibility. Is if you don't mind flat wounds, they'll probably last as long, if not longer, than coated strings, if that's the sound you want. But there we go. New comments. Stuart saying thank you. Michael Anthony. I only use Elixir NanoWeb rounds on your fretless with an ebony board. That's what Gary Willis designed it for. Peace of mind using coated strings. Very good.
Yeah.
I used a set actually, and the coating started coming off, and that kind of turned me off of them. To be fair, but that was it was like 2008, 2009,
around 2008 to 10 sort of thing. They weren't lasting as long,
right? Maybe I had a dodgy set. I think they came to the magazine.
They're actually great, absolutely brilliant every time.
The set I had came to the magazine for like field testing, so the editor said, "There you go, get them on, see what you think." And I remember going back to him and going, "They didn't last. I don't get the point."
Yeah.
And actually, our guitarist Steve from FM in the old covers band, he used to take them with him as he he had a deal with them when we went to Israel, and the heat on guitar strings would make all that coating come off.
Yes. Yeah.
It was so hot. He just said, this is daft. So in the end, he just went back to using Fender bullets when we were out there, but he'd use Elixirs when we were here in the UK. Right. It is 11:30, guys and girls. Thank you very much. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Jamie.
Very
Thank
welcome.
you, James. Great to have you all on. Thank you to everyone for all the comments, all the questions, everything. So in about a couple of hours, I'm going to get the analytics through. We'll have hit 800,000 views on the channel. Thank you. I can't do it without you. And in a couple of weeks, couple of months, where are we now? End of June. By the start of September, if we carry on at the rate we're going, we're going to hit 1 million views, which is nuts. To have done 300,000 views in 4 months. And it took
Very
5 years to do 700. So thank you very much, everyone. Fabulous. And like I say, the bass collection video, which I put a link for earlier in this chat, you'll find it on the channel, is about to hit 25,000 views just for that one video. Thank you. That's what I made it for. I put 50 hours of editing and recording time into that. And I thought when I released it, if they don't like this, I might as well give up. I can't do any better. I could now, because I've got another 2 years of editing experience. But at the time, I thought, if they don't go for this, and it's turned out to be the best video here on the channel. So thank you very much. Right, guys and girls, if you're in the UK, go and get to bed. Elsewhere, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I'll catch you next week, Tuesday again. We'll try and it's going to be an experimental one next week. We're going to go for the vertical format. I need your feedback when we do it. You need to tell me whether it works or it doesn't, or you don't like it, or you do like it, or whatever. We will just try it for a couple of weeks, see how it performs in the algorithm, and we'll take it from there. On that note, have a fabulous week. Enjoy yourselves. Don't forget to give the videos thumbs up, comments, shares, all very important. Thank you very much. I'll see you next Tuesday. Take it easy. Have a good week, Rich. See you next week.
Cheers, Mike. You too.
Bye-bye.